The sky ignited with an otherworldly glow, casting an eerie crimson hue across the bustling streets of New York City. Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald stood frozen on the rooftop of his apartment building, his eyes fixed on the horizon where massive, obsidian ships pierced through the clouds. The vessels, sleek and angular, defied all known laws of aerodynamics, their hulls shimmering with an iridescent energy that seemed to bend light itself. As the alien armada approached, panic erupted below. Car horns blared in a cacophonous symphony of fear, while pedestrians fled in all directions, their screams echoing off the towering skyscrapers. Oliver's military training kicked in, his mind racing to analyze the situation even as his heart pounded against his ribcage. That's when he saw a detail so subtle yet so terrifying that it sent a chill down his spine. While everyone else was fixated on the imposing ships above, Oliver's gaze was drawn to the shadows dancing across the ground. They moved with an unnatural fluidity, coalescing and separating in patterns that defied the laws of physics. "Dear God," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the chaos. "They're already here." Oliver's mind flashed back to his days as a military strategist, before the incident that led to his disgrace. He had always theorized that a truly advanced alien species wouldn't rely solely on brute force. They would employ stealth, infiltration, and misdirection. The shadows he saw now confirmed his worst fears. The ships were just a distraction. Without hesitation, Oliver sprinted towards the roof access door. He had to warn someone, anyone who would listen. As he reached for the handle, a piercing screech filled the air, forcing him to his knees. The sound seemed to penetrate his very bones, scrambling his thoughts and sending waves of nausea through his body. When the noise subsided, Oliver struggled to his feet, his ears ringing. He stumbled down the stairs, nearly colliding with his neighbor, Zoe Alexandra Ramirez, who was rushing up. "Oliver, what's happening?" Zoe's eyes were wide with fear, her usually composed demeanor shattered. "It's an invasion," Oliver replied, grabbing her arm. "But it's not what it seems. We need to get to the basement, now." As they descended, Oliver's mind raced. He knew that his past would make it difficult for anyone to take him seriously, but he had to try. The fate of humanity might depend on it. Reaching the building's basement, they found it already crowded with terrified residents. In the corner, Gabriel Isaac Hoffman, a local physicist, was attempting to calm the group. "Everyone, please," Gabriel shouted over the din. "We need to stay calm and—" "Calm," Oliver interrupted, pushing his way through the crowd. "We need to fight back, but not against what's in the sky." All eyes turned to Oliver, a mix of confusion and skepticism on their faces. He could see the moment recognition dawned in their eyes, the disgraced strategist, the man whose theories had been laughed out of the Pentagon. "Listen to me," Oliver pleaded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "The ships are a diversion. The real invasion is happening right under our feet. I saw something in the shadows. They're using some kind of advanced cloaking technology." Gabriel stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "That's impossible. Our sensors would have detected." "Your sensors are useless against technology centuries ahead of our own," Oliver snapped. "Think about it. Why announce your presence with a show of force when you could silently take over from within?" A tense silence fell over the room as the implications of Oliver's words sank in. Zoe, who had been quietly observing, suddenly spoke up. "I saw something too," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "On the way up the stairs. I thought it was just my imagination, but—" The shadows moved. Oliver felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they would believe him this time. "So what do we do?" someone in the crowd asked, fear and desperation evident in their voice. Oliver took a deep breath, years of strategic planning coming to the forefront of his mind. "We need to spread the word, quietly, use encrypted communications if possible, and we need to find a way to detect these shadow beings. Gabriel, your expertise in physics could be crucial." As the group began to mobilize, formulating plans and assigning tasks, Oliver couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come. and humanity would need every ounce of ingenuity and courage to survive. Little did they know, high above the Earth's atmosphere, aboard the command ship of the alien fleet, Kaxner Zilthine, Supreme Commander of the invasion force, was about to receive some very unsettling news. As dawn broke over the horizon, the true scale of the alien assault became apparent. Major cities across the globe found themselves under siege, their defenses crumbling against the overwhelming technological superiority of the Kaxner Zilthine. In Tokyo, massive energy beams sliced through skyscrapers like hot knives through butter, their precision suggesting an intelligence far beyond human capability. London's Thames Barrier, a marvel of human engineering, was rendered obsolete as alien craft manipulated the very tides themselves, flooding the city's heart. Oliver, now huddled with a growing group of resistors in an abandoned subway tunnel beneath New York, watched grainy footage of the attacks on a salvaged tablet. His eyes narrowed, noticing patterns that others missed. "Look here," he said, pointing to a clip of Rio de Janeiro. "The aliens aren't just destroying indiscriminately, they're targeting our infrastructure with surgical precision." Zoe leaned in, her brow furrowed. "But why? Wouldn't total destruction be more effective?" Oliver shook his head. "Not if they want to occupy, not annihilate. They're dismantling our ability to communicate and coordinate a response, while leaving much of the city intact." Gabriel, who had been working tirelessly to modify sensors to detect the shadow beings, looked up from his makeshift workbench. "That aligns with the energy readings I'm getting. Their weapons seem to operate on a principle of controlled molecular disassembly. It's devastatingly effective against our technology, but remarkably clean." As they spoke, a low rumble shook the tunnel. Dust rained down from the ceiling, and for a moment, fear gripped the group. But Oliver's mind was racing, piecing together the puzzle. "They're hurting us," he muttered, his eyes widening with realization. "The surface attacks, the shadow infiltrators, it's all designed to drive us underground." Evelyn Rose Tanaka, a former software engineer who had joined their group, spoke up. "But why? Wouldn't that make us harder to find?" Oliver's response was grim. "Not if they can control the environment. Think about it: by forcing us into confined spaces, they limit our movement, our resources. It's a strategy as old as warfare itself, but on a global scale." As if to confirm his theory, the tablet lit up with reports of strange seismic activity worldwide. Earthquakes that didn't follow natural fault lines, sinkholes appearing in improbable locations. "They're reshaping the Earth itself," Gabriel whispered, awe and terror mingling in his voice. Oliver's mind flashed back to his military days, to war games and strategic simulations. He had always excelled at finding the hidden flaw in seemingly perfect plans. Now, as he absorbed the patterns of the alien assault, a glimmer of hope sparked in his mind. "Their technology, it's incredible," he mused, "but it's also their weakness. They're relying on it completely, which means they might not be prepared for unpredictability." Zoe raised an eyebrow. "What are you thinking, Oliver?" "Their attacks are too perfect, too calculated," he explained, excitement creeping into his voice. "They've planned for every contingency, every logical human response." "But what about illogical responses? Actions that no advanced AI could predict because they don't make rational sense?" The group exchanged glances, a mix of confusion and budding hope on their faces. "I'm talking about human ingenuity, our capacity for creative problem-solving," Oliver continued. "The aliens have shown us the devastating power of their technology, but they haven't demonstrated adaptability. If we can disrupt their carefully orchestrated plan, force them to improvise, we might stand a chance." Caleb Michael O'Brien, a former Marine who had been silently listening, finished the thought. Oliver nodded, a plan already forming in his mind. "We need to gather more information, understand the full scope of their capabilities and intentions. But more importantly, we need to start thinking outside the box. Way outside." As the group began brainstorming, throwing out increasingly outlandish ideas, Oliver felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had spent years in disgrace, his theories dismissed as paranoid fantasies. Now, those same theories might be humanity's best hope for survival. Unknown to the resistance group, their conversations were being monitored. Deep within the alien command ship, Iridex Voxlera, chief intelligence officer of the Caxner-Zilthine fleet, listened with growing concern. The human called Oliver had seen through their strategy with unsettling clarity. Iridex turned to the imposing figure of Supreme Commander Caxner-Zilthine. "We may have underestimated these humans, particularly this Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald. His insights could pose a threat to our operation." Caxner's multifaceted eyes narrowed, a decision forming in his alien mind. "Then we must eliminate him, and any others who share his dangerous perspicacity. Dispatch the Nixala units. Let us see how these humans fare against our most elite shadow warriors." As the order was given, the fate of Earth hung in the balance, with neither side fully aware of the challenges that lay ahead. In a makeshift laboratory cobbled together from salvaged equipment and the remnants of a university research facility, Zoe Alexandra Ramirez hunched over a microscope, her dark eyes intense with concentration. Around her, a cacophony of beeps, whirs, and anxious chatter filled the air as fellow scientists and engineers worked feverishly to understand the alien technology that had brought humanity to its knees. Zoe's fingers flew across a battered laptop, inputting data from her observations. For days, she had been analyzing samples of the alien materials, searching for any weakness, any chink in their seemingly impenetrable armor. Most of her colleagues had dismissed her approach as futile, focusing instead on reverse engineering the more obvious aspects of the invaders' technology. But Zoe saw something they didn't. In the molecular structure of the alien alloys, there was a pattern, a rhythm that tickled the edges of her understanding. It was as if the materials themselves were alive, constantly shifting and adapting at a subatomic level. "Eureka," she whispered, her eyes widening as the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. The realization hit her like a thunderbolt. The aliens weren't just using advanced technology, they were the technology. Zoe sprang from her seat, nearly knocking over her workstation in her excitement. She rushed to the center of the lab where Nathan Thomas Gupta, the lead scientist, was briefing a group of military officials. "Nathan, I found something. It's incredible," Zoe exclaimed, trying to catch her breath. Nathan turned, annoyance flashing across his face at the interruption. "Not now, Zoe. We're in the middle of a crucial discussion about defensive strategies." "But this is important," Zoe persisted, undeterred. "The alien technology, it's not just advanced, it's alive. The materials are in a constant state of quantum flux, adapting to their environment in real time." The room fell silent, all eyes turning to Zoe. She could see the skepticism in their faces, the dismissive glances exchanged between the officials. "That's an interesting theory, Dr. Ramirez," one of the generals said, his tone patronizing. "But we need practical solutions, not wild speculations." Zoe felt her cheeks burn with frustration. "It's not speculation. I have the data right here. If we can understand this quantum adaptation, we might be able to disrupt it, maybe even turn it against them." Nathan sighed, placing a hand on Zoe's shoulder. "Look, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but we need to focus on concrete defensive measures. Why don't you take a break? You've been working non-stop for days." Dejected but not defeated, Zoe retreated to her workstation. She knew she was right, knew that her discovery could be the key to humanity's survival. But how could she make them listen? As she pondered her next move, a commotion at the lab's entrance caught her attention. Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald strode in, flanked by Gabriel and Caleb. The former strategist's presence immediately commanded the room's attention. "We have new intel," Oliver announced, his voice cutting through the murmur of conversation. "The aliens are planning something big, a coordinated attack on our remaining strongholds." As Oliver began to outline the situation, Zoe saw her opportunity. She approached the group, data pad in hand. "Oliver," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves, "I think I found something that could help us fight back." To her surprise, Oliver turned to her immediately, giving her his full attention. "What have you got, Zoe?" Emboldened by his interest, Zoe launched into an explanation of her findings. She watched as understanding dawned in Oliver's eyes, followed quickly by excitement. This changes everything," Oliver said when she finished. He turned to the assembled group. "Listen to her. Zoe's discovery could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for." With Oliver's endorsement, the room's attitude shifted. Suddenly, Zoe found herself the center of attention, explaining her theory to an eager audience. Ideas began to flow, possibilities opening up that had seemed impossible just moments before. As the excitement built, Zoe caught Oliver's eye. He gave her a nod of approval, and she felt a surge of gratitude. Finally, someone had listened. But their moment of triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the facility, and Hazel Elizabeth Morales, their chief of security, burst into the room. "We've got incoming," Hazel shouted over the din. "Multiple bogies, moving fast and low. They've found us." As chaos erupted around them, Zoe felt a hand on her arm. It was Oliver, his face grim but determined. "We need to get you and your research out of here," he said. "Your discovery might be our last hope." Zoe nodded, her mind already racing with the implications. As they rushed to gather her equipment, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. The aliens were coming, and with them, a confrontation that would determine the fate of humanity. Little did they know, aboard the alien command ship, Tyrian Kazmira, the chief scientist of the Caxner Zilthine, was about to make a discovery of his own, one that would send shockwaves through the invasion force and set the stage for a battle unlike any the universe had ever seen. The Situation Room of the United Nations Emergency Command Center was a hive of frantic activity. Holographic displays flickered with real-time battle footage from around the globe, each image more devastating than the last. General Arya Jade Patel, her usually immaculate uniform now creased and stained, barked orders into a comm unit as she tried to coordinate what remained of Earth's military forces. "We've lost contact with the European defense grid," a young lieutenant reported, his voice cracking with exhaustion. "Asian coalition forces are reporting massive casualties. Africa's holding out, but barely." Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald stood in the corner, his eyes darting from screen to screen, mind racing to process the information. He'd been brought in as a civilian consultant, a last-ditch effort to gain any advantage against the overwhelming alien force. "Their quantum-shifting technology is neutralizing our best weapons," Zoe explained, gesturing to a display showing alien ships absorbing missile strikes without a scratch. "Conventional warfare is useless against them." Oliver nodded, a plan forming in his mind. It was risky, borderline insane, but it might be their only shot. He stepped forward, clearing his throat to gain the room's attention. "General Patel, I have a proposal," he began, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "We need to stop fighting the aliens on their terms and start using our own strengths against them." The general turned, skepticism etched on her face. "We're all ears, Mr. Fitzgerald. What miracle solution have you conjured up?" Oliver took a deep breath. "We create a global EMP, powerful enough to disrupt their quantum field technology. Then, while they're vulnerable, we strike with everything we've got, not just military forces, but a coordinated assault using every resource at our disposal." The room fell silent for a moment before erupting into a cacophony of voices. "An EMP of that magnitude would cripple our own systems. We don't have the technology to generate a pulse that powerful. It's suicide." General Patel raised a hand, silencing the room. "Mr. Fitzgerald, while I appreciate your creativity, this plan is not only impractical but potentially catastrophic. We cannot risk what little infrastructure we have left on such a desperate gambit." Oliver felt frustration building in his chest. "With all due respect, General, we're losing this war. Conventional tactics aren't working. We need to take risks, to think outside the box." "And who would implement this plan?" a high-ranking official sneered. "You? The disgraced strategist who cried alien for years? The barb stung, but Oliver stood his ground. I volunteer to lead the operation myself. Give me a small team, and I promise you results. General Patel shook her head. I'm sorry, Mr. Fitzgerald, but the answer is no. We'll continue with our current strategy. That's final. As the meeting dissolved into arguments over resource allocation and evacuation plans, Oliver slipped out of the room, his mind already racing with alternatives. In the hallway, he found Zoe waiting for him. They shot you down, didn't they? She asked, though it wasn't really a question. Oliver nodded, his jaw set with determination. They did, but that doesn't mean we're giving up. Zoe's eyes widened. What are you planning, Oliver? We're going to do it anyway, he said, lowering his voice. We have the knowledge, and I bet we can find the resources. We just need a team crazy enough to try. A slow smile spread across Zoe's face. I think I know just the people. Over the next few hours, Oliver and Zoe discreetly reached out to their network of allies. Gabriel Isaac Hoffman agreed to help design the EMP device. Caleb Michael O'Brien, with his military connections, could secure some of the necessary equipment. Evelyn Rose Tanaka's hacking skills would be crucial for coordinating the global strike. As their ragtag team assembled in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, Oliver felt a familiar mix of excitement and fear. This was what he had trained for all his life, a chance to put his strategic mind to the ultimate test. I won't lie to you, he addressed the group, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. What we're attempting is dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it's also our best shot at saving humanity. Are you with me? The response was unanimous. Nods of determination, fierce grins, and a palpable sense of hope filled the room. As they began to plan, Oliver couldn't help but think of the aliens above, so sure of their victory. He allowed himself a grim smile. They had no idea what was coming. Meanwhile, aboard the alien command ship, Nixala Frequan, the Shadow Warrior commander, reported to Supreme Commander Kaxner Zilthine. The humans continue to resist, but their efforts are futile, Nixala stated. However, we've detected unusual activity among a small group led by the one called Oliver Fitzgerald. They may be planning something unexpected. Kaxner's multifaceted eyes narrowed. Monitor them closely. These humans have proven more resilient than anticipated. We must not underestimate them again. As both sides prepared for their next moves, the fate of Earth hung in the balance, with neither fully aware of the shocking revelations and brutal conflicts that lay ahead. Oliver and his team worked tirelessly in the abandoned warehouse, transforming it into a makeshift command center. Salvaged computers hummed alongside jury-rigged communication equipment as they pieced together their audacious plan. Gabriel labored over complex equations, fine-tuning the EMP design, while Evelyn's fingers flew across a keyboard, probing the weaknesses in what remained of the world's digital infrastructure. As dawn broke on the third day, Oliver stepped outside for a moment of respite. The city skyline, once a testament to human achievement, now stood partially in ruins. Alien ships hovered ominously in the distance, a constant reminder of the stakes they faced. Lost in thought, he almost didn't notice the figure approaching from the shadows. His hand instinctively moved to the weapon at his hip before he recognized the familiar silhouette. "Zoe?" he called out, surprise evident in his voice. "What are you doing here?" Zoe Alexandra Ramirez emerged into the dim light, her face a mix of exhaustion and excitement. "Oliver, I've been looking everywhere for you. I couldn't stay at the official lab any longer, not with what I've discovered." Oliver's interest peaked. "What do you mean? Did you make a breakthrough with the alien tech?" Zoe nodded vigorously, pulling out a tablet from her bag. "It's more than that. I've been analyzing the quantum fluctuations in their technology, and I think I've found something incredible." As Zoe began to explain, Oliver's eyes widened. Her findings aligned perfectly with the unconventional strategy he'd been developing. Together, they rushed back into the warehouse, calling the team to attention. "Everyone, listen up," Oliver announced, his voice carrying an urgency that immediately silenced the room. Zoe has made a discovery that changes everything. Zoe stepped forward, her earlier hesitation replaced by confidence. The aliens' quantum technology isn't just a defensive measure, it's the core of their entire existence. They exist in a state of quantum superposition, allowing them to adapt to any environment or threat instantly. Gabriel's brow furrowed. But that's impossible. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical, Zoe finished for him. Which is why they're here. Earth isn't just a conquest, it's a necessity for them. They're harvesting our planet's core energy to sustain their quantum state. A stunned silence fell over the group as the implications sank in. Oliver's mind raced, connecting the dots between Zoe's revelation and his own observations. That's why they're reshaping the planet, he mused aloud. They're not just terraforming, they're converting Earth into a massive energy extraction facility. Caleb leaned forward, his military training kicking in. So how do we use this against them? Oliver and Zoe exchanged a look, a spark of shared understanding passing between them. The EMP, they said in unison. Exactly, Oliver continued, excitement building in his voice. If we can disrupt their quantum state, even for a moment, we might be able to lock them into a single form. They'd lose their adaptability, their greatest strength. Zoe nodded enthusiastically. And I think I know how to modify the EMP to target their specific quantum frequency. It won't just disable their tech, it could potentially destabilize their entire existence. The room erupted into a flurry of activity as the team began to recalibrate their plans. Gabriel and Zoe huddled over complex equations, while Evelyn started reprogramming their systems to accommodate the new strategy. As the others worked, Oliver pulled Caleb aside. This changes the nature of our mission. We're not just fighting for survival anymore, we're fighting for the very essence of our world. Caleb nodded grimly. It's going to be one hell of a fight, but at least now we have a real chance. Oliver clapped him on the shoulder, a determined smile on his face. More than a chance, we have hope. As the team worked feverishly to implement their new plan, none of them noticed the subtle shift in the shadows at the edge of the warehouse. A form shimmered briefly, almost imperceptibly, before disappearing entirely. High above the earth, aboard the alien command ship, Nyxala Frequan materialized in the central chamber, her form solidifying from a state of quantum flux. She approached Supreme Commander Caxner Zilthine, her normally impassive features betraying a hint of concern. "Commander," she reported, her voice a melodic hum, "the humans have discovered the true nature of our existence. They plan to use this knowledge against us." Caxner's multifaceted eyes pulsed with an inner light, a sign of deep contemplation. After a moment, he spoke, his voice resonating with otherworldly harmonics. "It seems we have indeed underestimated these creatures," he mused. "Perhaps it is time we revealed our true form to them. Prepare the Vexaris Protocol. If the humans want a war of existence, we shall give them one they cannot comprehend." As the alien ship hummed with newfound energy, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of reality. Humanity's fight for survival was about to evolve into something far more profound, a battle for the fundamental nature of existence itself. The underground bunker buzzed with nervous energy as Oliver and Zoe prepared to brief their expanding team. The concrete walls, once a symbol of Cold War paranoia, now served as humanity's last line of defense against an unimaginable threat. As the assembled group settled into mismatched chairs, Oliver's gaze fell on their newest recruit. Gabriel Isaac Hoffman sat apart from the others, his fingers dancing across the keyboard of a custom-built laptop. With his unkempt hair and eyes that darted constantly between multiple screens, he looked every bit the stereotypical hacker. But Oliver knew appearances could be deceiving. "All right, everyone," Oliver began, his voice cutting through the murmur of conversation. "We've got a lot to cover, and time is not on our side. First, I'd like to introduce our newest member, Gabriel Hoffman." Gabriel looked up, a flicker of unease crossing his face as all eyes turned to him. He gave a half-hearted wave before returning his attention to his screens. Zoe stepped forward, taking over the briefing. Gabriel is one of the world's foremost experts in quantum computing and cryptography. His skills will be crucial in modifying our EMP to target the aliens' quantum frequency. As Zoe continued outlining their plan, Oliver observed Gabriel closely. The hacker's fingers never stopped moving, but Oliver noticed the slight tremor in his hands, the sheen of sweat on his forehead. Gabriel was battling more than just alien invaders. When the briefing concluded and the team dispersed to their tasks, Oliver approached Gabriel's workstation. "How's it coming?" he asked, keeping his tone casual. Gabriel startled slightly, then composed himself. "It's challenging," he admitted. "The aliens' quantum encryption is like nothing I've ever seen. It's beautiful, in a terrifying sort of way." Oliver nodded, pulling up a chair. "I heard you were the one who cracked the NSA's quantum firewall a few years back. Made quite a name for yourself." A shadow passed over Gabriel's face. "Yeah, well, fame isn't all it's cracked up to be. Neither is a federal prison sentence." "Is that why you're here?" Oliver probed gently. "Seeking redemption." Gabriel's fingers stilled on the keyboard. He turned to face Oliver, his eyes haunted. "You know what it's like to be labeled a pariah, don't you? To have everyone doubt you, no matter how right you are." Oliver nodded, memories of his own disgrace fresh in his mind. "I do. But this isn't about proving ourselves to anyone. It's about saving what's left of our world." Gabriel sighed, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "I know. It's just, after what happened, I swore I'd never touch a government system again. And now here I am, diving into the most classified networks on the planet." "We're not the government," Oliver reminded him. "We're the last hope humanity's got. Your skills, Gabriel, they could make the difference between extinction and survival." A long moment passed as Gabriel wrestled with his inner demons. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "When I was in prison, I had a lot of time to think about the consequences of my actions, the lives I might have put at risk with my arrogance. I promised myself if I ever got a chance to make things right, I'd take it." He turned back to his computer, his fingers flying across the keys with renewed purpose. "I'll crack their encryption, and when I do, we'll hit them with an EMP that'll make Stuxnet look like a script kiddie's first virus." Oliver felt a surge of hope. "That's the spirit. But remember, we're a team now. You don't have to carry this burden alone." As Oliver stood to leave, Gabriel called out, "Hey, Oliver, thanks for giving me this chance." Oliver nodded, a small smile on his face. "We've all got something to prove, Gabriel. Let's prove it by saving the world." As he walked away, Oliver's mind was already racing with the next steps of their plan. Gabriel's skills were impressive, but they'd need more than just technical expertise to pull this off. Across the bunker, Zoe caught his eye, gesturing urgently. As he approached, he saw the concern etched on her face. "Oliver, we've got a problem," she said, her voice low. "Our long-range sensors just picked up something big entering the solar system. Whatever it is, it's like nothing we've ever seen before." Oliver's blood ran cold. The aliens were escalating, and their window of opportunity was rapidly closing. As he and Zoe huddled over the sensor readings, Oliver couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to face a challenge that would push them all to their absolute limits. Little did they know, aboard the approaching vessel, Vixaris Dromath, the alien supreme tactician, was preparing a strategy that would test not just humanity's resilience, but the very fabric of reality itself. The night air crackled with tension as Oliver led his team towards the alien outpost. Nestled in the ruins of what was once a thriving research facility, the structure pulsed with an otherworldly energy that set their nerves on edge. Gabriel's tech had cloaked them from the aliens' advanced sensors, but the risk of discovery loomed large. "Remember," Oliver whispered as they approached, "we're here for intel only, no heroics." Zoe nodded, her hand tightening on the modified EMP device they'd brought as a last resort. Caleb took point, his military training evident in every calculated move. Gabriel brought up the rear, his eyes darting between his handheld device and their surroundings. As they breached the outer perimeter, the alien technologies surrounding them seemed to shift and writhe, adapting to their presence in ways that defied comprehension. Gabriel let out a low whistle. "Their quantum field is even more complex up close," he murmured. "It's like the whole building is alive." They made their way deeper into the facility, following Gabriel's directions to what they hoped was the central data hub. The corridors were eerily empty, adding to the sense of unease that permeated the air. Suddenly, Caleb held up a fist, signaling them to stop. Ahead, a door slid open, revealing a figure that was unmistakably alien. The being moved with a fluid grace that seemed to defy the laws of physics, its form shimmering between states of matter. "Hide," Oliver hissed, but it was too late. The alien had spotted them. To their shock, instead of raising an alarm, the creature spoke, its voice a melodic hum that somehow formed words they could understand. "Humans," it said, "I've been expecting you." Oliver stepped forward, positioning himself between the alien and his team. "Who are you?" he demanded. "I am Iridex Voxlara, chief scientist of the Caxner Zilthine," the alien replied, "and I believe we have much to discuss." A tense moment passed as the humans exchanged bewildered glances. Finally, Oliver made a decision. "All right," he said cautiously, "let's talk." Iridex led them to a chamber filled with holographic displays and pulsating energy fields. As the door sealed behind them, the alien's form solidified, taking on a more humanoid appearance. "I apologize for the deception," Iridex said, "but it was necessary to ensure your cooperation." Zoe stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "You're different from the others we've encountered. Why?" Iridex's multifaceted eyes seemed to shimmer with something akin to sadness. "Because I no longer believe in the mission that brought us to your world." The revelation hung in the air, heavy with implications. Oliver's mind raced, reassessing everything they thought they knew about the invasion. "Explain," he demanded. Iridex moved to one of the displays, bringing up images of vast, incomprehensible structures. "Our species evolved beyond the need for physical form eons ago. We exist as beings of pure energy and thought, capable of manipulating reality itself. But this existence comes at a cost." The alien scientist continued, explaining how their quantum state required immense amounts of energy to maintain. They had traveled the cosmos, seeking out worlds rich in core energy to sustain their civilization. "Earth was to be our salvation," Iridex said. "But I've come to realize the price is too high. The destruction of your world, the extinction of your species, it goes against everything I believe in as a scientist and an explorer." Gabriel, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "If you're against this invasion, why haven't you stopped it?" Iridex's form flickered, a sign of distress. "I am but one voice among many. The majority of my kind see no issue with sacrificing your world for our survival. They believe it is the natural order of things, the strong consuming the weak." Oliver's mind whirled with the implications of this new information. "So why tell us this? What do you hope to gain?" "Hope," Iridex replied simply. "Your species has shown remarkable resilience and ingenuity. I believe that together, we might find a solution that doesn't require the destruction of either of our kinds." Zoe's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "The EMP we've been developing, you know about it, don't you?" Iridex nodded. "I do, and I believe it has potential, but it's flawed. Used as it is, it would cause unimaginable suffering to my people. But perhaps, with my knowledge and your creativity, we could modify it. Create a solution that incapacitates without destroying." The team exchanged looks, a mix of hope and skepticism on their faces. Oliver, ever the strategist, saw both the potential and the risk in this unexpected alliance. "If we work with you," he said slowly, "how can we be sure it's not a trap?" Iridex's form solidified further, taking on an almost human appearance. Because I will give you something no other human has full access to our quantum technology. With it, you'll have the power to verify everything I've told you and potentially turn the tide of this war. As Iridex interfaced with the facility's systems, flooding their devices with alien data, Oliver realized they had stumbled upon something far more significant than mere intelligence. They had found a potential ally in the most unexpected place. But as hope bloomed within the team, a new set of challenges loomed on the horizon. How would they convince the rest of humanity to trust an alien defector? And more pressingly, how long could Iridex maintain this deception before the rest of the invasion force discovered their collaboration? As they began to formulate a new plan, incorporating Iridex's insights, none of them realized that high above the Earth, Supreme Commander Kaxner Zilthine was about to make a discovery that would shatter the delicate balance they had struck and plunge both species into a conflict beyond imagination. The abandoned subway tunnel echoed with the sounds of hurried footsteps and labored breathing as Oliver and his team raced through the darkness. What should have been a routine reconnaissance mission had quickly devolved into a desperate fight for survival. "They're gaining on us," Caleb shouted from the rear, his voice tight with tension. Oliver's mind raced, trying to formulate a plan. They had been ambushed by a squad led by Tyrion Kazmira, the aliens' most ruthless tactical commander. The encounter had caught them completely off guard, shattering Oliver's carefully laid plans. As they rounded a corner, Oliver's foot caught on a piece of debris. He stumbled, crashing hard against the tunnel wall. Pain exploded in his side, and he felt warm blood seeping through his shirt. "Oliver!" Zoe cried, rushing to his aid. "Keep going," he gasped, struggling to his feet. "I'll hold them off." Zoe's eyes widened in protest, but Oliver cut her off. "That's in order. The mission comes first." With a pained nod, Zoe ushered the rest of the team ahead. Oliver turned to face the oncoming threat, drawing his weapon with a shaking hand. The alien forces materialized from the shadows, their forms shifting and pulsing with otherworldly energy. At their head stood Tyrion Kazmira, a being of such advanced evolution that merely looking at him made Oliver's head spin. "Surrender, human," Tyrion's voice reverberated through the tunnel. "Your resistance is futile." Oliver raised his weapon, a defiant smirk on his face. Humanity doesn't know the meaning of the word surrender. What happened next was a blur of motion and searing pain. Oliver fired, his shots passing harmlessly through Tyrion's quantum-shifted form. The alien commander retaliated with a blast of energy that sent Oliver flying backward. As he lay on the cold tunnel floor, his vision fading, Oliver was gripped by a crushing sense of failure. He had led his team into a trap, underestimated the enemy, and now he would die alone in the darkness. All his strategic knowledge, all his experience, had amounted to nothing in the face of this advanced foe. But as consciousness slipped away, something strange happened. In the space between heartbeats, Oliver found himself in a place beyond physical reality. Here, free from the constraints of his body, he could perceive the quantum nature of the universe in ways his human mind had never comprehended before. He saw the intricate web of possibilities that made up reality, the countless potential futures branching out from each moment. And in this state of heightened awareness, Oliver realized something profound. The aliens' greatest strength, their ability to exist in multiple states simultaneously, was also their greatest vulnerability. With a gasp, Oliver's eyes snapped open. He was back in the tunnel, his body battered but his mind alight with newfound understanding. Tyrion loomed over him, energy crackling around his form as he prepared to deliver the final blow. But Oliver saw him differently now. Where before he had seen an invincible foe, he now perceived a being trapped by its own complexity, limited by the very power that made it formidable. With a surge of adrenaline, Oliver rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding Tyrion's attack. He scrambled to his feet, his movements guided by a new instinct. "You think you're unbeatable because you exist in multiple states," Oliver called out, his voice strong despite his injuries. "But that just means you're vulnerable in all of them." Confusion flickered across Tyrion's features, a momentary lapse in his quantum cohesion. Oliver seized the opportunity, charging forward with a piece of debris he had snatched from the ground. As Tyrion shifted to avoid the attack, Oliver changed direction at the last second, striking at the space where the alien commander would be rather than where he was. The impact was catastrophic. Tyrion's form destabilized, his quantum field collapsing as he struggled to maintain cohesion. The other aliens recoiled in shock, their synchronized attack falling into disarray. Seizing the moment, Oliver activated the emergency beacon hidden in his gear. The tunnel filled with a blinding light as Zoe and the team returned, armed with the prototype EMP devices they had been developing. In the chaos that followed, Oliver coordinated their escape with a clarity and precision he had never known before. His near-death experience had not only restored his confidence, but had given him insights into the aliens' nature that would prove invaluable in the fights to come. As they regrouped at their hidden base, Oliver addressed the team, his eyes blazing with renewed purpose. "What happened down there was my fault," he admitted. "I underestimated our enemy and nearly got us all killed. But I also learned something crucial. The aliens aren't invincible. Their power comes at a cost, and we can use that against them." He outlined his new understanding of the aliens' quantum nature and how it could be exploited. As he spoke, Oliver could see the spark of hope reigniting in his comrade's eyes. "We've been fighting this war on their terms," he concluded. "It's time we changed the rules of engagement. From now on, we don't just resist, we redefine the nature of the conflict itself." As the team dispersed to implement their new strategies, Oliver caught Zoe's questioning gaze. "What happened to you down there?" she asked softly. Oliver paused, considering how to explain his otherworldly experience. "Let's just say I got a new perspective on things," he replied with a small smile. "And I'm not about to waste this second chance." Little did they know, as they prepared for the next phase of their resistance, that their actions had set in motion events that would soon draw the attention of the highest echelons of the alien command and force both species to confront truths about existence itself that neither was fully prepared to face. Zoe's makeshift lab hummed with energy as she made the final adjustments to her latest prototype. Weeks of sleepless nights and relentless work had finally paid off. Before her stood a device that could potentially neutralize the aliens' quantum shifting abilities, rendering them vulnerable to conventional weapons. "It works," she breathed, her eyes wide with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. "Oliver, Gabriel, get in here." As her teammates rushed into the lab, Zoe quickly explained her breakthrough. By combining Iridex's insights with her own research, she had created a localized field that could force the aliens into a single quantum state. Oliver's face lit up with hope. "This could change everything. How soon can we replicate it?" Before Zoe could answer, alarms blared throughout their hidden base. Gabriel's fingers flew across his keyboard, pulling up security feeds. "We've got company," he announced grimly. "2 squads approaching from the east, and they're not alien." Oliver's brow furrowed. Human opportunists. Someone must have leaked information about Zoe's research. As the team scrambled to secure their equipment, a new alert sounded. Gabriel's face paled as he checked the readings. "Alien signatures detected," he reported. "They're converging on our location from multiple directions." Oliver's mind raced, formulating a plan. "Zoe, grab everything essential for your research. Gabriel, initiate our scorched earth protocols for the rest of the data. Caleb, prep our escape route." As the team moved with practiced efficiency, Oliver turned to Zoe. "Your work is too important to fall into the wrong hands, human or alien. We need to get you and that device to safety." Zoe nodded, her jaw set with determination as she packed her essential equipment. Minutes later, they were racing through a network of underground tunnels, the sounds of combat echoing behind them. Human mercenaries clashed with alien forces, each side desperate to claim Zoe's research for themselves. "We've got a clear path to the surface," Caleb reported, checking a holographic map projected from his wrist device. "But we'll be exposed once we're above ground." Oliver made a split-second decision. "We'll split up. Zoe, you and Gabriel take the prototype and head for our backup site. Caleb and I will create a diversion." Zoe started to protest, but Oliver cut her off. "Your research is our best hope. We can't risk losing both you and the device." With a reluctant nod, Zoe and Gabriel broke off, disappearing down a side tunnel. Oliver and Caleb continued forward, emerging onto a street littered with debris from the ongoing invasion. "Ready to make some noise?" Oliver asked, a grim smile on his face. Caleb returned the smile, pulling out a set of modified grenades. "Music to my ears." They set off in the opposite direction from Zoe and Gabriel, leaving a trail of controlled chaos in their wake. Explosions and bursts of electromagnetic energy drew the attention of both human and alien pursuers. Meanwhile, Zoe and Gabriel navigated the ruins of the city, the precious prototype clutched tightly in Zoe's arms. They moved from shadow to shadow, using Gabriel's hacking skills to disable surveillance systems and create false trails. "We're almost there," Gabriel whispered as they approached an innocuous-looking building. "Just a few more." His words were cut short as a quantum distortion rippled through the air in front of them. Zarkin Plexidon, one of the aliens' most feared hunters, materialized before their eyes. "Your efforts are impressive, but futile," Zarkin's voice resonated in their minds. "Surrender the device, and your deaths will be quick." Zoe's heart raced, but her voice remained steady. "If you know about the device, then you know what it can do. Take one step closer, and I'll activate it." Zarkin paused, his form shimmering with uncertainty. It was the opening Gabriel needed. He tapped a command into his wrist computer, and suddenly the air was filled with holographic projections of Zoe and Gabriel, each running in different directions. In a moment of confusion, Zoe activated the prototype. A wave of energy pulsed outward, and Zarkin's form solidified, locked into a single state. The alien hunter stumbled, disoriented by the sudden limitation of his powers. "Run!" Gabriel shouted, and they sprinted past the incapacitated Zarkin. They reached the safe house, breathless but alive. As Gabriel secured the entrance, Zoe allowed herself a moment of relief. Her prototype had worked, even better than she had hoped. Across the city, Oliver and Caleb regrouped, having successfully led their pursuers on a wild chase. "Any word from Zoe and Gabriel?" Caleb asked, concern evident in his voice. Oliver checked his secure communicator, a smile breaking across his face as he read the encrypted message. "They made it, and Zoe's device works." As they made their way to rendezvous with the others, Oliver's mind was already racing with the implications of this success. They had proven that the aliens could be vulnerable, that humanity had a fighting chance. But he also knew that their victory had come at a cost. Their hidden base was compromised, and now both human opportunists and the alien invaders would be hunting them with renewed vigor. As the team regrouped in their new safe house, Oliver looked at each of them: Zoe, still clutching her revolutionary device; Gabriel, already working to secure their new location; Caleb, ever vigilant for new threats. He felt a surge of pride and determination. "We've won a crucial battle," he addressed them, "but the war is far from over. Our next move will determine the fate of humanity. Are you ready?" The resolute nods he received in response told him all he needed to know. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Little did they know, aboard the alien command ship, Supreme Commander Kaxner Zilthine was about to implement a strategy that would test not just their resolve, but the very fabric of reality itself. The night sky pulsed with an otherworldly glow as Oliver and his team approached the alien communications hub. Nestled within the ruins of what was once a major satellite control center, the structure loomed before them, a twisted amalgamation of human and alien technology. "Remember," Oliver whispered, his voice barely audible over their secure comms, "our primary objective is to tap into their network and gather intel on their next move. Zoe's device should give us a window of opportunity, but we need to be quick." The team moved with practiced stealth, their forms blending into the shadows. Gabriel worked his magic on the perimeter defenses, creating a temporary blind spot in the alien sensors. Caleb took point, his enhanced combat reflexes on high alert for any sign of danger. As they breached the outer wall, Zoe activated her quantum stabilization device. A wave of energy pulsed outward, momentarily locking the nearby alien technology into a single state. The air shimmered, and suddenly the true nature of the hub became visible, a writhing mass of biomechanical components that seemed to breathe and pulse with life. "My God," Zoe breathed, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. "Stay focused," Oliver reminded them, pushing forward into the heart of the facility. They made their way to the central chamber, where a massive crystalline structure pulsed with data streams. Gabriel immediately set to work, interfacing his equipment with the alien technology. "I'm in," he announced after a tense minute. "But this encryption is like nothing I've ever seen. It's going to take time to." His words were cut short by a bone-chilling screech that reverberated through the facility. Alarms blared, and the very walls seemed to come alive with defensive mechanisms. "What happened?" Oliver demanded, drawing his weapon. Gabriel's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Something triggered a failsafe. It's like the system recognized my intrusion on a quantum level. We've got maybe 2 minutes before we're overrun." Oliver's mind raced, assessing their options. "Zoe, can you boost the quantum stabilizer's range?" Zoe nodded, already making adjustments. "Yes, but it'll burn out the device. We won't get another shot at this." "Do it," Oliver ordered. "Gabriel, forget finesse. Download everything you can. Caleb, prepare for extraction." As Zoe worked to amplify her device, Oliver caught a glimpse of movement in his peripheral vision. He turned, coming face to face with a holographic projection of Supreme Commander Kaxner Zilthine himself. "Impressive, humans," the alien leader's voice resonated in their minds. "But futile, your resistance ends here." Oliver stood his ground, buying time for his team. "We'll never stop fighting. This is our world, and we'll defend it to our last breath." Kaxner's multifaceted eyes seemed to shimmer with amusement. "Your world? Oh, Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald, you understand so little. Earth was never yours to begin with." Before Oliver could respond, Zoe's voice cut through the tension. "Device ready, activating now." A massive pulse of energy erupted from the quantum stabilizer, engulfing the entire facility. The alien technology froze, locked into a single state. In that moment of vulnerability, Gabriel's systems surged, downloading terabytes of data in seconds. But as the energy wave expanded, something unexpected happened. The crystalline structure at the center of the room began to resonate, amplifying the pulse far beyond its intended range. The entire facility started to shake, reality itself seeming to warp around them. "We need to go, now," Oliver shouted, grabbing Zoe's arm and pulling her towards the exit. They ran through corridors that twisted and shifted, the very fabric of space-time distorting around them. As they burst out of the facility, they were greeted by a sight that defied comprehension. The quantum pulse had expanded to encompass the entire area, revealing glimpses of something else beneath the surface of reality. "My God," Gabriel gasped as they reached relative safety. "The entire planet. It's not what we thought it was." As the effects of the pulse faded and reality reasserted itself, Oliver turned to Gabriel. "What did you see? What did we download?" Gabriel's face was pale as he pulled up the data on his portable screen. It's a blueprint. But not for invasion, it's for transformation. They're not trying to destroy Earth. They're trying to awaken it." The implications hit Oliver like a physical blow. Earth wasn't just a planet to be conquered or harvested. It was something far more ancient and terrifying, a dormant entity that the aliens were trying to rouse from eons of slumber. As the team huddled together, processing this earth-shattering revelation, Oliver's mind was already racing ahead. They had uncovered the truth, but at what cost? And how could they possibly hope to stop a plan that had been in motion since before humanity even existed? The sound of approaching alien craft snapped Oliver back to the present. "We need to move," he ordered, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. "We have the intel. Now we need to figure out how to use it." As they disappeared into the night, evading their pursuers, Oliver couldn't shake the feeling that they had just crossed a point of no return. The war for Earth had taken on a new dimension, and the stakes were higher than they could have ever imagined. Little did they know, their actions at the communications hub had set in motion events that would soon force both humans and aliens to confront truths about the universe and themselves that neither side was fully prepared to face. The underground bunker that served as the United Nations Emergency Headquarters buzzed with frantic activity. Oliver and his team, still reeling from their discovery at the alien communications hub, found themselves in the midst of a political storm. "You expect us to believe this? This fantasy?" General Arya Jade Patel scoffed, her voice dripping with skepticism. "That Earth is some sort of sleeping entity." Oliver stood his ground, acutely aware of the weight of the moment. "I know how it sounds, General, but the data we recovered is irrefutable. The aliens aren't here to conquer us. They're trying to awaken something ancient and powerful." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, world leaders and military commanders arguing over the implications of this revelation. Zoe stepped forward, attempting to explain the scientific basis of their findings, but her words were lost in the din. As the situation threatened to spiral out of control, a calm voice cut through the chaos. "Perhaps we should approach this from a different angle." All eyes turned to Evelyn Rose Tanaka, a skilled diplomat who had been quietly observing the proceedings. She stepped into the center of the room, her presence commanding attention. "Gentlemen, ladies," Evelyn began, her voice steady and measured. "Whether we choose to believe this information or not, we cannot ignore its potential impact. If there's even a chance that the aliens' intentions are as described, it changes the entire nature of our conflict." Oliver felt a surge of gratitude for Evelyn's intervention. He had known her reputation as a master negotiator, but seeing her in action was something else entirely. Evelyn continued, addressing each faction in the room with carefully chosen words. She spoke of the need for unity in the face of an unprecedented threat, the importance of considering all possibilities, no matter how outlandish they might seem. As she spoke, Oliver could see the mood in the room shifting. The outright dismissal was replaced by cautious consideration. Even General Patel's stern expression had softened slightly. "What do you propose, Miss Tanaka?" asked the Secretary General, leaning forward with interest. Evelyn turned to Oliver and his team. "We need more information. Mr. Fitzgerald and his colleagues have provided us with a crucial piece of the puzzle, but we need to verify and expand upon it. I suggest we form a joint task force, combining our military and scientific resources with their unique insights." The proposal was met with murmurs of agreement, but Oliver could see that some were still hesitant. He stepped forward, seizing the moment. "Time is not on our side," he urged. "Every moment we delay, the aliens get closer to achieving their goal. We need to act now, united, or we risk losing everything." As the world leaders deliberated, Zoe approached Oliver, her voice low. "Even if they agree, how do we proceed? We're talking about a threat beyond anything we've ever encountered." Oliver nodded grimly. "One step at a time. First, we need to consolidate our knowledge. Gabriel, I want you working with the best cryptographers we have. Decode every bit of that alien data. Zoe, collaborate with the top physicists. We need to understand the science behind this awakening process." As he issued instructions, Oliver felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to find Evelyn standing there, a determined look in her eyes. "Mr. Fitzgerald," she said, "I believe I can be of further assistance. My diplomatic connections might help us gather support from nations that are hesitant to join this coalition." Oliver smiled, recognizing the value of her offer. "We'd be grateful for your help, Miss Tanaka, and please, call me Oliver." As the meeting concluded with a tentative agreement to form the joint task force, Oliver felt a mix of relief and apprehension. They had overcome the first hurdle, but the real challenges lay ahead. Outside the bunker, as the team prepared to move to a new secure location, Gabriel pulled Oliver aside. "There's something else in the data," he whispered, his face pale. "Something I didn't want to mention in front of the others until I was sure." Oliver's heart raced. "What is it?" Gabriel swallowed hard. "The aliens, they're not just trying to wake up the Earth. They're preparing it for something else. Something that's coming." As the implications of Gabriel's words sank in, Oliver realized that their understanding of the conflict had once again been turned on its head. They weren't just fighting to save the Earth. They were caught in the middle of a cosmic event beyond their comprehension. With renewed urgency, Oliver gathered his team. As they moved out into the night, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were racing against a clock they couldn't see, towards a confrontation that would determine not just the fate of humanity, but of Earth itself. Little did they know, high above the planet's surface, Supreme Commander Kaxner Zilthine was initiating the next phase of a plan eons in the making, a plan that would soon bring humans and aliens face to face with the true nature of their existence. In a heavily fortified laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Zoe and Gabriel hunched over a workbench, their faces light by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. Around them, a team of the world's brightest scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge with every passing hour. "If we adjust the quantum resonance frequency here," Zoe murmured, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface, "we might be able to create a cascading effect that could disrupt their entire network." Gabriel nodded, his eyes never leaving the complex equations scrolling across his screen. "But the energy requirements would be astronomical. We'd need a power source unlike anything we've ever created before." As they worked, the weight of their task hung heavy in the air. The weapon they were developing wasn't just a means of defense against the alien invaders. It was a tool that could potentially reshape reality itself. Dr. Leo Benjamin Kowalski, a renowned physicist who had been brought in to assist with the project, approached their workstation. "I've been reviewing your proposals," he said, his voice tinged with both awe and concern. "What you're suggesting, it's beyond anything we've ever attempted. The ethical implications alone are staggering." Zoe looked up, her eyes reflecting the conflict she felt within. "We know, Leo. Believe me, we've been grappling with this since the beginning. But what choice do we have? The aliens are trying to fundamentally alter our planet, our very existence." Gabriel chimed in, his usual jovial demeanor replaced by a somber seriousness. "If we succeed, we'll be creating a weapon that could not only repel the aliens, but potentially reshape the fabric of space-time. The power to alter reality itself. It's terrifying." Dr. Kowalski nodded gravely. "And therein lies our dilemma. In our quest to save humanity, we risk becoming something other than human. The temptation to use such power for purposes beyond defense. It's a slippery slope." The lab fell silent as the implications of their work sank in. Zoe's mind raced, recalling the countless late-night discussions she'd had with Oliver about the ethics of their mission. They had all sworn to use their creation only as a last resort, but could they truly guarantee that? Suddenly, an alarm blared through the facility. Gabriel's fingers flew across his keyboard, pulling up security feeds. "We've got a breach in Sector 7. Some kind of quantum anomaly is." His words were cut short as the air in the center of the lab began to shimmer and distort. In a flash of blinding light, a figure materialized, the unmistakable form of Iridex Voxlara, the alien scientist who had defected to their side. "My friends," Iridex's melodic voice resonated in their minds, "I bring urgent news. The awakening has begun." As the initial shock wore off, Zoe's scientific curiosity took over. "Iridex, how did you bypass our security? The quantum shielding should have prevented any teleportation." The alien scientist's form shimmered, a gesture Zoe had come to recognize as their equivalent of a smile. "Your advancements are impressive, Dr. Ramirez, but there are still aspects of quantum mechanics that your species has yet to grasp. However, that is precisely why I am here." Iridex moved to their workstation, his multifaceted eyes scanning the holographic displays. Your weapon concept is ingenious, but flawed. You're approaching it from a purely physical standpoint when the solution lies in the intersection of consciousness and quantum reality. As Iridex began to explain, Zoe and Gabriel found themselves thrust into a realm of scientific understanding that challenged everything they thought they knew. The aliens' insights bridged the gap between their theoretical models and practical application, opening up possibilities they had never imagined. Hours passed in a blur of breakthrough after breakthrough. The weapon they were creating was evolving into something beyond a mere tool of destruction. It was becoming a key to understanding the very nature of reality itself. As the new design took shape, Dr. Kowalski voiced the question that was on everyone's mind. With this level of power and understanding, are we still creating a weapon, or have we stumbled upon something far more profound? Zoe looked at the shimmering prototype, her voice filled with a mix of awe and trepidation. I think we've created both, Leo. A weapon to defend our world, and a tool to reshape our understanding of the universe. Gabriel nodded, adding, the question now is, are we ready for the responsibility that comes with it? As if in answer to his question, another alarm sounded. Oliver's voice came through the intercom, urgent and strained. Zoe, Gabriel, we need you in the command center now. The aliens have launched a major offensive. Cities around the world are reporting massive gravitational anomalies. Whatever they're planning, it's happening now. The team exchanged glances, the weight of the moment palpable. Their creation, still untested and not fully understood, might be humanity's last hope. Let's move, Zoe said, carefully securing the prototype. It's time to see if our theories hold up in the real world. As they rushed to the command center, Zoe couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to cross a threshold from which there was no return. The fate of humanity, of Earth itself, now rested in their hands. Little did they know, their actions were about to set in motion a chain of events that would challenge the very foundations of reality, forcing both humans and aliens to confront truths about existence that neither side was fully prepared to face. The sky above the alien stronghold roiled with unnatural energy, casting an eerie, shifting light across the barren landscape. Oliver crouched behind a ridge, surveying the imposing structure through high-tech binoculars. Around him, a select team of elite soldiers and scientists waited in tense silence. Remember, Oliver's voice crackled through the comm units. Our primary objective is to get close enough to deploy the weapon. We have one shot at this. Make it count. Zoe's voice came through, tinged with concern. Oliver, the quantum fluctuations around the stronghold are intensifying. If we don't act soon, we might lose our window of opportunity. Oliver nodded grimly. Understood. All teams, move out. They advanced under the cover of a cloaking field developed from reverse-engineered alien tech. As they neared the perimeter, the air grew thick with an otherworldly presence, making it difficult to breathe. Suddenly, alarms blared from the stronghold. Their cover was blown. They've detected us, Caleb shouted, raising his weapon as alien defenders materialized around them. Chaos erupted as the two forces clashed. The human soldiers fought bravely, but the aliens' ability to shift between quantum states made them nearly impossible to hit. Oliver pushed forward, his eyes fixed on the central spire where they needed to deploy the weapon. Zoe, Gabriel, with me. The rest of you, keep them occupied. As they fought their way through the alien defenses, Oliver couldn't help but marvel at the bizarre architecture of the stronghold. It seemed to defy the laws of physics, parts of it existing in multiple states simultaneously. They reached the base of the spire, but found themselves cornered by a group of elite alien warriors led by Tyrian Kazmira. Your resistance ends here, humans, Tyrian's voice resonated in their minds. Oliver's hand moved to the weapon strapped to his back, a sleek, otherworldly device that hummed with power. Not today, he growled. With a nod to Zoe, Oliver activated the weapon. A pulse of energy unlike anything they had ever seen before erupted from the device. The air itself seemed to warp and twist, reality bending around them. For a moment, everything froze. The aliens, caught in mid-attack, flickered like faulty holograms. Oliver felt a surge of hope. It was working. But then, something went wrong. The weapon's energy began to fluctuate wildly, its power growing beyond their control. Zoe's eyes widened in horror. "It's overloading," she shouted. "The quantum feedback is too strong." Oliver made a split-second decision. "Get back," he ordered, pushing Zoe and Gabriel away. "I'll stabilize it manually." Ignoring their protests, Oliver turned back to the weapon. He could feel its energy coursing through him, threatening to tear him apart at a subatomic level. With gritted teeth, he focused all his will on containing the power, directing it towards the alien stronghold. The world around him blurred, reality itself seeming to fracture. Through the haze of pain, Oliver saw the alien defenders dissolving, their quantum forms unable to maintain cohesion under the weapon's onslaught. The stronghold itself began to crumble, sections of it phasing in and out of existence. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Oliver could feel himself being pulled apart, his very atoms struggling to hold together under the strain. "Oliver!" Zoe's anguished cry reached him as if from a great distance. "Let go! You'll be torn apart." With the last of his strength, Oliver turned to his friends. "Complete the mission," he managed to say. "Save Earth. It's been an honor." Then, in a blinding flash of light, Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald vanished, along with the weapon and a significant portion of the alien stronghold. As the dust settled, Zoe and Gabriel stared in disbelief at the spot where Oliver had stood. The alien threat was neutralized, but at what cost? Caleb's voice crackled through their calms, heavy with emotion. "Command Center to Strike Team. Report status. Did we succeed?" Zoe swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "Mission accomplished," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "The stronghold is destroyed. But Oliver's gone." A heavy silence fell over the team as the implications of their victory sank in. They had won a crucial battle, but the war was far from over, and they had lost their leader, their friend. As they regrouped to evacuate, Gabriel's sensors began picking up strange readings from the area where Oliver had vanished. "Zoe," he called, his voice urgent. "You need to see this. These quantum signatures, they're like nothing we've ever encountered before." Zoe rushed over, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her grief. As she studied the readings, a spark of hope flickered in her chest. "These patterns," she murmured, "they're not random. It's almost as if—" She trailed off, hardly daring to voice her theory. Could it be possible that Oliver wasn't dead, but had been transported somewhere else? Or someone else? As the team boarded their extraction vehicles, Zoe's mind raced with possibilities. They had glimpsed the true power of the weapon, seen its potential to reshape reality itself. But they had also witnessed its terrible cost. Whatever came next, one thing was clear. The nature of their war had changed irrevocably. And somewhere out there, in the vast unknown of quantum reality, Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald's fate hung in the balance, a hero lost, but perhaps not gone forever. The aftermath of Oliver's sacrifice left little time for mourning. Within hours of the stronghold's destruction, alien forces across the globe launched a coordinated counterattack of unprecedented scale and ferocity. At the heart of the Human Resistance's command center, Zoe and Gabriel worked feverishly to analyze data from the weapon's deployment, hoping to replicate its effects without the catastrophic consequences. Alarms blared incessantly as reports of new alien offensives poured in from every corner of the Earth. "They're targeting our major population centers," Evelyn reported, her usually calm demeanor strained. "New York, Tokyo, London, all under heavy assault." General Area Jade Patel's voice cut through the chaos. "We need options, people. That weapon was our ace in the hole, and now it's gone." Zoe looked up from her workstation, dark circles under her eyes betraying her exhaustion. "We're working on it, General, but without Oliver." She trailed off, the weight of their loss hanging heavy in the air. Suddenly, the main screen flickered to life, revealing a face that sent shockwaves through the command center. Nixala Frequan, the feared alien commander, stared back at them with her multifaceted eyes. "Humans," her voice resonated, a mix of admiration and menace. "You have proven more resilient than we anticipated. But your resistance ends now. Surrender, and we may yet spare your species from total annihilation." Before anyone could respond, another voice joined the transmission. "I think not, Nixala." Gasps echoed through the room as Iridex Voxlara materialized beside the human leaders. The alien scientist's form shimmered with barely contained energy. "Traitor," Nixala hissed. "You would side with these primitives against your own kind?" Iridex's response was calm but firm. "I side with life, Nixala. What we're doing here is wrong, and you know it." As the two aliens argued, Zoe's mind raced. She caught Gabriel's eye, a silent understanding passing between them. This was their chance. "General," Zoe whispered urgently, "we need to buy time. I have an idea, but it's risky." General Patel nodded grimly. "At this point, Dr. Ramirez, risk is all we have left." While the alien commanders were distracted, Zoe and Gabriel set their plan in motion. They began routing power from every available source into a hastily modified version of their quantum communication array. Outside, the battle raged with increasing intensity. Caleb led a desperate defense of the command center, his forces vastly outnumbered but fighting with the ferocity of those with nothing left to lose. In the skies above, Nixala's flagship led the alien armada in a relentless bombardment. The earth shook with each impact, the very fabric of reality seeming to warp under the assault. Back in the command center, Zoe's makeshift device hummed to life. "It's ready," she announced, her voice tight with tension. "But we only get one shot at this." Iridex, sensing their plan, moved to assist. "Allow me to augment your efforts," the alien scientist offered, placing a shimmering appendage on the device. The room held its breath as Zoe activated the array. A pulse of energy shot forth, expanding rapidly to encompass the entire battlefield. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze. Then, chaos erupted. The quantum pulse, amplified by Iridex's alien knowledge, created a localized field of altered reality. Alien ships found themselves phasing in and out of existence, their quantum-based technology rendered useless. On the ground, Nixala's forces stumbled, their ability to shift between states temporarily nullified. "Now," General Patel roared into her calm, "all units, press the advantage." Human forces surged forward, capitalizing on the aliens' momentary weakness. For the first time since the invasion began, the tide of battle turned decisively in humanity's favor. Nixala's face contorted with rage on the viewscreen. "This isn't over," she snarled before the transmission cut out. As the alien forces retreated, a cautious sense of victory swept through the command center. But Zoe knew the respite would be brief. "We've bought ourselves some time," she addressed the room. "But this was a stopgap measure at best. We need to find a permanent solution, and fast." Iridex nodded in agreement. "Indeed, and I believe I may be able to help with that. There's something you need to know about the true nature of your world, and its place in the cosmic order." As the alien scientist began to explain, Zoe felt a mix of hope and trepidation. They had survived this battle, but the war was far from over, and the revelations Iridex was about to share would shake the very foundations of their understanding of reality. In the aftermath of the battle, as human and alien allies worked side by side to fortify their defenses, a strange energy signature appeared on their long-range sensors. Something was coming, something that would change the course of the war and challenge everything both species thought they knew about the universe. And somewhere, lost in the quantum fabric of reality, Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald's consciousness flickered, holding secrets that could determine the fate of not just Earth, but existence itself. The war room buzzed with a newfound energy as Zoe presented the latest data from their global counteroffensive. Holographic displays showed alien forces in retreat across multiple continents, their once impenetrable defenses crumbling under the combined might of human determination and adapted alien technology. "It's working," Zoe announced, her voice tinged with both excitement and disbelief. "The quantum destabilization fields are forcing them out of their shifting states. We're actually pushing them back." General Patel nodded, a rare smile crossing her face. "Excellent work, Dr. Ramirez, but we can't let up now. We need to press our advantage while we have it." As the room erupted into strategic discussions, a sudden commotion at the entrance drew everyone's attention. Caleb burst in, his face a mix of shock and hope. "You're not going to believe this," he panted, gesturing frantically at the figure behind him. The room fell silent as Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald stepped into view. He looked haggard, his clothes singed and torn, but very much alive. "Oliver!" Zoe cried, rushing to embrace him. "How? We thought you were." Oliver returned the hug briefly before addressing the stunned room. "There's no time to explain everything. What I've seen, what I've learned, it changes everything." Over the next hour, Oliver recounted his incredible journey. After the weapon's detonation, he had been thrown into a quantum limbo, existing between realities. In that state, he had glimpsed the true nature of the alien invasion and the cosmic forces at play. "The Earth isn't just a planet," Oliver explained, his eyes alight with the weight of his discovery. "It's a nexus point in the fabric of the universe. The aliens aren't trying to conquer us. They're trying to control a power they barely understand themselves." He turned to Iridex, who nodded in confirmation. "Your species stumbled upon this truth by accident," the alien scientist added. "We've been searching for a nexus like Earth for eons." Oliver continued, outlining a daring plan that would not only repel the alien invasion, but potentially reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. "We need to awaken Earth's latent power ourselves," he proposed, "but on our terms. If we can tap into the Nexus energy and channel it through a network of quantum amplifiers, we can create a planetary defense system unlike anything the universe has ever seen." The room erupted into a flurry of questions and concerns. General Patel raised her hand for silence. "This sounds incredibly risky, Fitzgerald. How can we be sure we won't destroy ourselves in the process?" Oliver's face was grim but determined. "We can't be entirely sure, General, but I've seen what happens if we do nothing. The aliens will keep coming, drawn by Earth's power. This is our only chance to secure our future." Zoe stepped forward, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities. "We could use the quantum stabilization technology we've developed as a foundation. Combined with what Oliver's learned about the Nexus energy, we might be able to create a controlled awakening." Gabriel chimed in, his fingers flying across his tablet. "I can start modifying our global satellite network to act as quantum amplifiers. We'll need to coordinate with every major scientific institution on the planet, but it's doable." As the team began to flesh out the details of Oliver's audacious plan, a sense of purpose filled the room. For the first time since the invasion began, they weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for a future they could shape. Over the next few days, the world witnessed an unprecedented mobilization of human resources and intellect. Scientists, engineers, and even reformed alien defectors worked around the clock to bring Oliver's vision to life. Massive quantum amplifiers were constructed at strategic points around the globe, each one a marvel of human ingenuity and alien insight. Satellite networks were repurposed to create a web of energy that would encompass the entire planet. As the day of activation approached, tension mounted. The alien forces, led by a desperate Caxner Zilthine, launched a final, all-out assault to stop what they now recognized as an existential threat to their plans. Oliver stood in the control room of the primary Nexus activation site, surrounded by his core team. Outside, the sky burned with the fury of the alien attack. Earth's combined military forces fought valiantly to buy them the time they needed. "All amplifiers are online," Gabriel reported, his voice tense. Quantum field stabilizers are at maximum capacity. Zoe looked to Oliver, her hand hovering over the activation switch. Are we really ready for this? She asked, the weight of the moment evident in her voice. Oliver took a deep breath, his mind flashing to everything they had endured, everything they had learned. Ready or not, this is our moment. For Earth, for humanity, for our future, let's rewrite the rules of the cosmos. With a nod from Oliver, Zoe activated the system. Energy surged through the global network, and the Earth itself seemed to hold its breath. As the power of the Nexus began to awaken, both humans and aliens alike knew that the final battle for Earth, and perhaps the fate of the universe itself, had begun. Whatever the outcome, nothing would ever be the same again. The roar of engines filled the air as Caleb Michael O'Brien strapped himself into the cockpit of the X-89 Thunderbolt, humanity's latest hybrid of human and alien technology. Around him, the airfield buzzed with activity as pilots and ground crews prepared for the most ambitious counteroffensive yet. All wings, report in, Caleb's voice crackled over the comm. One by one, his squadron sounded off, a mix of nervousness and determination in their voices. From the control tower, Oliver's voice came through. Remember the plan, Caleb. Your team's job is to punch a hole in their orbital defenses. No heroics. Caleb grinned, a glint of mischief in his eyes. Copy that, Control. No heroics, unless absolutely necessary. As the squadron took off, the sky above them shimmered with the telltale signs of the aliens' quantum shields. Caleb led his team in a tight formation, weaving through a barrage of energy blasts that warped the very air around them. All right, Thunderbolts, Caleb called out. Let's show these aliens what Earth's finest can do. With a burst of speed that defied conventional physics, Caleb broke formation, diving straight towards the heart of the alien defense grid. His sudden move caught both his teammates and the aliens off guard. O'Brien, Oliver's voice shouted through the comm, stick to the plan. But Caleb was already committed. He barrel-rolled through a gap in the alien formation, his targeting computer locking onto a key node in their defense network. With a whoop of excitement, he fired a volley of quantum-tipped missiles. The explosion that followed was spectacular. The alien shield flickered and failed, creating the opening they needed. Caleb's reckless maneuver had worked, but at a cost. We've got a breach, he shouted triumphantly, even as warning lights flashed across his console. His ship had taken heavy damage in the attack. The rest of the squadron poured through the gap, engaging the now vulnerable alien ships. But Caleb's damaged fighter was struggling to keep up. Caleb, your ship's losing integrity, Zoe's worried voice came through. You need to fall back. Negative, Caleb gritted through clenched teeth. I can still fly. I can still fight. Despite his bravado, Caleb's ship was failing fast. As he engaged in a dogfight with an alien craft, his controls became sluggish. In a desperate move, he aimed his failing ship directly at a massive alien carrier. Caleb, no, Oliver shouted, realizing his intent. With a defiant yell, Caleb ejected at the last second. His ship crashed into the alien vessel, triggering a chain reaction that ripped through its quantum core. The resulting explosion took out a significant portion of the alien fleet. As Caleb floated in his ejection pod, watching the battle unfold around him, he couldn't help but grin. How's that for heroics, Oliver? He muttered. Back at the command center, Oliver ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. That crazy son of a... Get a rescue team out there now. Zoe approached, a mix of admiration and concern on her face. His actions did create the opening we needed. The ground teams are reporting successful deployment of the quantum amplifiers. Oliver nodded, his expression torn between frustration and grudging respect. True, but we can't afford to lose pilots like him. We're going to need every skilled operator we have for what comes next. As the rescue team retrieved Caleb, the tide of the battle began to turn. The alien forces, caught off guard by the humans' newfound capabilities and daring tactics, began to retreat. In the aftermath, As Caleb was debriefed and thoroughly chewed out by Oliver, the full impact of his actions became clear. His reckless bravery had not only secured a crucial victory, but had also provided valuable data on the aliens' tactical weaknesses. "Your flying was impressive, O'Brien," Oliver admitted grudgingly. "But next time, stick to the plan. We're not just fighting individual battles here, we're trying to win a war." Caleb nodded, chastened, but still with a glint of defiance in his eye. "Understood, sir. But sometimes the plan needs a little improvisation." As they discussed the next phase of the counteroffensive, alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. Gabriel burst into the room, his face pale. "We've got a problem," he announced. "The quantum readings from the alien homeworld, they're off the charts. I think they're preparing for something big." Oliver's expression hardened. He turned to Caleb. "Looks like we might need some of that improvisation after all, O'Brien. Prep your team. We're taking the fight to them." As the base erupted into frenzied activity, Caleb couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Despite the dangers ahead, he knew that humanity's boldest push yet was about to begin, and he was ready to fly right into the heart of it. Little did they know, the aliens were preparing a response that would challenge not just humanity's military might, but the very laws of physics themselves. The true test of Caleb's skills and humanity's resolve was yet to come. In the depths of the underground research facility, Zoe Alexandra Ramirez stared at her computer screen, her eyes wide with disbelief. She double-checked her calculations, triple-checked her data, but the conclusion remained inescapable. "This can't be right," she muttered, running a hand through her disheveled hair. Gabriel, noticing her distress, approached her workstation. "What is it, Zoe? You look like you've seen a ghost." Zoe took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. "I've been analyzing the biological samples we collected from the captured alien soldiers. Gabriel, their DNA. It's not entirely alien." Gabriel's brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" "There are human genetic markers interwoven with their alien DNA," Zoe explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's as if they've been hybridized." The implications of this discovery sent shockwaves through the team. Oliver called an emergency meeting, gathering their core group in the secure briefing room. As Zoe presented her findings, the room fell into a stunned silence. Iridex, their alien ally, shifted uncomfortably, his form shimmering with what seemed like guilt. "Is this true?" Oliver demanded, turning to Iridex. "Are your people some kind of human-alien hybrid?" Iridex's multifaceted eyes dimmed slightly. "It is complicated. Our species has been evolving and adapting for millions of years. In our quest for perfection, we have incorporated genetic material from various species we've encountered, including humans," Evelyn stated, her diplomatic tone barely masking her shock. Iridex nodded. "Yes, your species possesses certain traits that we found. Desirable, creativity, adaptability, resilience." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, each team member grappling with the moral implications of this revelation. Caleb's voice cut through the chaos, anger evident in his tone. "So what? We're just raw material for your evolutionary experiments." "It's not that simple," Iridex protested. "Our intentions were not malicious. We sought to elevate ourselves, to become more than we were." Zoe, who had been quiet since her initial presentation, suddenly spoke up. "There's more," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I've discovered a way to target this hybrid DNA specifically. We could create a weapon that would be lethal to the aliens, but harmless to humans." The room fell silent once again as the weight of this possibility sank in. Oliver was the first to speak. "A genetic weapon? Are we really considering this?" "It could end the war in one stroke," General Patel pointed out, her military mind already calculating the strategic advantages. But Evelyn shook her head vehemently. "At what cost? We'd be committing genocide. How would we be any better than them?" The team fractured into heated debates. Gabriel and Caleb argued for using the weapon. citing the need to protect humanity at all costs. Evelyn and Hazel Elizabeth Morales staunchly opposed it on moral grounds. Oliver remained silent, his face a mask of concentration as he weighed the options. Zoe, torn between her scientific breakthrough and the ethical implications, turned to Iridex. "If we developed this weapon, would it affect you too?" Iridex's form flickered, a sign of deep emotion. "Yes, I share the same hybrid DNA, but perhaps that is the price we must pay for our hubris." As the argument reached a fever pitch, Oliver finally raised his hand for silence. "We're not making this decision lightly," he declared. "Zoe, I want you to continue your research. Understand everything you can about this hybrid DNA. But we're not deploying any genetic weapons unless we have absolutely no other choice." He turned to address the entire team. "Our goal is to end this war, but not at the cost of our humanity. We'll explore every other option first. If we win by becoming as ruthless as our enemy, then we've already lost." The tension in the room eased slightly, but the underlying ethical dilemma remained. As the team dispersed to continue their work, each member grappled with their own thoughts on the matter. Zoe lingered behind, approaching Oliver. "What if it comes down to it?" she asked quietly. "What if it's the only way to save Earth?" Oliver's expression was grim. "Then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But Zoe, promise me something. Keep looking for alternatives. There has to be a way to end this without compromising who we are." As Zoe nodded and left to return to her lab, Oliver couldn't shake the feeling that they were balancing on a knife's edge. The power to potentially end the war was within their grasp, but at what cost to their souls? Little did they know, high above the earth, Supreme Commander Kaxner Zilphine was preparing a final, desperate assault that would force their hand and test their resolve in ways they could never have imagined. The true battle for humanity's future and its very essence was about to begin. Under the cover of night, Oliver led his elite team towards the looming structure of the Alien Command Center. The building, a twisted amalgamation of Earth architecture and alien biotechnology, pulsed with an otherworldly energy that set their nerves on edge. "Remember," Oliver whispered as they approached, "we're here for intel. Get in, access their central database, and get out. No unnecessary risks." Zoe nodded, clutching the advanced hacking device she and Gabriel had developed. Caleb took point, his enhanced combat reflexes on high alert. Evelyn brought up the rear, her diplomatic skills ready should they encounter any alien personnel they could potentially negotiate with. Using Iridex's inside knowledge, they bypassed the outer defenses with relative ease. As they penetrated deeper into the facility, the alien architecture became increasingly bizarre, with corridors that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry. "This way," Zoe murmured, following the energy signatures on her scanner. "The main data hub should be just ahead." They entered a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures that hummed with information. Zoe immediately set to work, interfacing their device with the alien systems. "I'm in," she announced after a tense minute. "But this encryption is like nothing we've seen before. It might take some time to—" Her words were cut short as a holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. The team froze, weapons raised, but the figure before them wasn't an alien. It was human. "Welcome, Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald," the hologram spoke, its voice eerily familiar. "We've been expecting you." Oliver stepped forward, his mind reeling. "Who? What are you?" The hologram smiled, a gesture that sent chills down their spines. "I am the culmination of the Kaxner Zilphine's great experiment, the perfect fusion of human ingenuity and alien evolution. You may call me Adam." As the team exchanged shocked glances, Adam continued. "You see, the invasion you've been fighting so valiantly against isn't quite what you imagined. It's not a conquest, but a homecoming." With a wave of his hand, Adam brought up a series of holographic displays showing the history of Earth from a perspective they'd never seen before. Ancient civilizations, long-lost technologies, and inexplicable leaps in human evolution all took on new meaning. Humanity didn't evolve naturally on this planet, Adam explained. You were seeded here, eons ago, by the very beings you now call aliens. Earth was an experiment, a petri dish to cultivate the perfect combination of alien advancement and human potential. The revelation hit the team like a physical blow. Everything they thought they knew about human history, about their very existence, was being turned on its head. But why? Evelyn asked, her diplomatic training kicking in despite her shock. Why create us only to invade? Adam's expression turned somber. Because the experiment worked too well. Humanity's potential exceeded all expectations. The Caxner-Zilthine feared what you might become if left unchecked. This invasion isn't about conquering Earth. It's about reclaiming it, guiding human evolution down a controlled path. Oliver's mind raced, connecting dots he'd never seen before. The hybrid DNA Zoe discovered. Yes, Adam nodded. It wasn't the aliens incorporating human DNA, but the other way around. You've always carried a part of them within you. I am the next step in that evolution, the bridge between two species that were never truly separate. As the team grappled with this earth-shattering information, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. They had been discovered. You need to go, Adam said urgently. But know this, the choice of humanity's future lies with you now. Will you resist your creators and forge your own path, or embrace your cosmic heritage? With alien forces converging on their location, Oliver made a snap decision. Zoe, download everything you can. We're leaving. As they fought their way out of the facility, each team member's mind whirled with the implications of what they'd learned. Their entire mission, the very nature of the war they'd been fighting, had just been fundamentally altered. Back at their base, as Zoe and Gabriel began sifting through the massive amount of data they'd stolen, Oliver addressed his shell-shocked team. I know we've just had our entire worldview turned upside down, he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. But our mission hasn't changed. We're still fighting for Earth's freedom, for humanity's right to choose its own destiny. Caleb nodded grimly. Even if that destiny was engineered by alien beings. Especially then, Oliver replied. We may have been created by the Caxner-Zilthine, but our choices, our achievements, our potential, those are our own. And I'll be damned if we let anyone, alien or human, take that away from us. As the team dispersed to process this new reality and prepare for their next move, Oliver couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. The war for Earth had become a war for the very soul of humanity. And somewhere out there, Adam, the living bridge between two species, held secrets that could tip the balance of this cosmic struggle. The final confrontation was approaching, and it would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of human evolution itself. The vast expanse of space above Earth erupted into a dazzling, terrifying spectacle as humanity's combined fleet engaged the alien armada. Thousands of ships, ranging from retrofitted human vessels to reverse-engineered alien craft, swarmed against the imposing Caxner-Zilthine battleships. At the heart of this cosmic maelstrom, Caleb Michael O'Brien led Thunderbolt Squadron, Earth's elite fighter wing. His X-89 Thunderbolt, now enhanced with alien tech, moved with impossible grace through the chaos. All wings, report in, Caleb's voice crackled over the comm. His squadron sounded off, their voices a mix of determination and barely contained fear. From the bridge of the Ed's Defiant, Earth's flagship, Oliver's voice came through. Remember the plan, Caleb. Your team needs to take out their quantum shielding generators. Without those, our capital ships can punch through. Caleb grinned, the familiar rush of adrenaline coursing through him. Copy that, Defiant. Time to show these aliens some good old-fashioned human improvisation. The battle raged with furious intensity. Alien energy weapons tore through space, while human railguns and missiles created a deadly crossfire. Caleb led his squadron through the mayhem, their nimble fighters weaving between capital ships like insects among giants. As they approached the first shielding generator, a swarm of alien interceptors moved to engage them. Caleb's fingers danced across his controls, his ship performing maneuvers that defied physics. "Thunderbolts, break and attack," he ordered. "Don't let them box us in." The dogfight that ensued was unlike anything in human history. Ships blinked in and out of quantum states, energy weapons warped the very fabric of space-time, and pilots pushed the limits of what was physically possible. Caleb's exceptional skills shone through the chaos. He barrel-rolled through a gap between two alien ships, causing them to collide in a spectacular explosion. With a whoop of triumph, he locked onto the shield generator and fired a volley of quantum-tipped missiles. The explosion was magnificent, a burst of energy that rippled across the alien fleet's defenses. "Generator 1 is down," Caleb shouted, "moving to the next target." But the aliens had taken notice of the skilled human pilot. As Thunderbolt Squadron engaged the second generator, they found themselves facing increasingly overwhelming odds. "Caleb, you've got multiple bogeys on your 6, his wingman warned. Caleb juked and weaved, his ship dancing through a hail of enemy fire. But even his incredible skills were being pushed to the limit. "I can't shake them," he grunted, his ship shuddering under the assault. Suddenly, a massive alien dreadnought decloaked directly in their path. Its weapon systems charged, preparing to unleash a devastating attack that would wipe out the entire squadron. In that split second, Caleb made a decision that would alter the course of the battle. "Thunderbolts, break off and retreat," he ordered. "I'll handle this." Ignoring the protests of his squadron and Oliver's frantic calls from the Defiant, Caleb pushed his engines to maximum. He aimed his fighter directly at the dreadnought's main weapon array. "Sorry, Oliver," he muttered. "Looks like I'm going for some heroics after all." With a defiant yell, Caleb fired every weapon his ship had, pouring all remaining power into his forward shields. The dreadnought's weapon fired at the same moment, creating a cataclysmic collision of energies. The resulting explosion was visible across the entire battlefield. The dreadnought's weapon overloaded, chain reacting through its systems and taking out several nearby ships. The quantum shielding across the entire alien fleet flickered and failed. "All ships, this is the Defiant," Oliver's voice boomed across all channels. "The enemy's shields are down. Press the attack." As the human fleet surged forward, capitalizing on this crucial advantage, the cost of their victory became clear. Where Caleb's ship had been, there was nothing but debris and dissipating energy. On the Defiant's bridge, Oliver stared at the tactical display, his face a mask of grief and determination. "Damned fool," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You magnificent, damned fool." Zoe approached, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "His sacrifice won't be in vain," she said softly. "We're breaking through their lines. We might actually win this." Oliver nodded, squaring his shoulders. "Caleb gave us this chance. Let's make sure we use it." As the battle raged on, now tilting in humanity's favor, Oliver couldn't help but reflect on the cost of their potential victory. Caleb's reckless bravery had always been both a blessing and a curse, but in the end, it had given them the opening they desperately needed. The loss of such a skilled pilot and friend was a heavy blow, but it had galvanized the human forces. Across the fleet, pilots and crew fought with renewed vigor, determined to honor Caleb's sacrifice. As the alien fleet began to falter under the relentless human assault, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. The Caxner Zilthine Supreme Command ship, a behemoth that dwarfed all other vessels, was moving into position. Whatever the aliens had planned, it was clear that the true test of humanity's resolve was yet to come. Oliver steeled himself for what lay ahead. They had won a crucial victory, but the war and the fight for humanity's future was far from over. And somewhere out there, amidst the cosmic debris, Caleb Michael O'Brien's legacy continued to shape the battle that would determine the fate of two intertwined species. The bridge of the Ed's Defiant thrummed with tension as Oliver stood face to face with the holographic projection of Zarkin Plexidon. The alien Supreme Commander's form shimmered, its multifaceted eyes fixed on Oliver with an unsettling intensity. "You've fought admirably, Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald," Zarkin's voice resonated, a mix of grudging respect and cold calculation. But surely you must see the futility of your resistance. You cannot hope to match our technological superiority. Oliver's mind raced, analyzing every nuance of Zarkin's words and demeanor. Despite the alien's confidence, Oliver sensed something beneath the surface, a hint of desperation. Perhaps? If our resistance is so futile, Oliver countered, why have you failed to crush us? For beings of such supposed superiority, you seem to be struggling against us primitive humans. Zarkin's form flickered, a brief display of agitation that didn't escape Oliver's notice. Your tenacity is unexpected, but it changes nothing. We are the architects of your very existence. Your destiny is ours to shape. As the verbal sparring continued, Zoe worked feverishly at a console nearby, analyzing data streams from the ongoing battle. She caught Oliver's eye, giving a subtle nod. They had found something. Oliver allowed himself a small smile. You know, Zarkin, for all your advanced evolution, you've overlooked something fundamental about humanity. The alien commander's eyes narrowed. And what might that be? Our unpredictability, Oliver stated. You created us, yes, but you don't understand us. Not really. You see our potential as a threat, but you fail to grasp the true source of our strength. As he spoke, Oliver signaled to his crew. Across the human fleet, a carefully orchestrated series of maneuvers began to unfold. Zarkin's attention was drawn to the tactical displays, his confidence wavering as he tried to decipher the human strategy. What are you playing at, Fitzgerald? Oliver's grin widened. That's just it, Zarkin. We're not playing, we're improvising. Suddenly, the human fleet's formation shifted in a way that defied conventional tactics. Ships moved in patterns that seemed chaotic, almost random, but were in fact a carefully crafted dance of controlled chaos. Zarkin's composure finally broke. Impossible, your movements. They defy all strategic logic. Exactly, Oliver declared triumphantly. You've based your entire battle strategy on predicting our actions using your advanced quantum calculations. But you can't predict what we'll do if we ourselves don't know until the moment we do it. As the alien fleet struggled to adapt to the humans' erratic maneuvers, Oliver pressed his advantage. You see, Zarkin, in your quest for perfection, you've become rigid, predictable. You've lost the ability to truly improvise, to embrace chaos and uncertainty. And that's why you'll lose this war. Zoe's voice cut through the tension. Oliver, we've located their command ship's weak point. The quantum fluctuations in their main drive are creating a vulnerability in their defenses. Oliver nodded, never taking his eyes off Zarkin. You heard her. Your perfect evolution has a flaw, and we've found it. Stand down now, or face the consequences. Zarkin's holographic form seemed to grow, filling the bridge with an oppressive presence. You dare to threaten me. I am the pinnacle of cosmic evolution. I am... A relic, Oliver interrupted. A dead end. Humanity is the future, Zarkin. Not because you created us, but because we've surpassed you. With a nod to his tactical officer, Oliver gave the order. Across the human fleet, ships executed a series of maneuvers that, to the aliens' quantum predictive algorithms, appeared completely random and illogical. But in that manufactured chaos lay a carefully orchestrated plan. The Defiant and its escort ships punched through the alien defenses, exploiting the weakness Zoe had discovered. They bore down on Zarkin's command ship with unstoppable momentum. Zarkin's hologram flickered wildly, his composure completely shattered. This is impossible. You cannot. Oh, but we can, Oliver stated firmly. And we will. For Earth. For humanity. For our right to choose our own destiny. As the human ships unleashed a barrage of weapons fire on the alien command ship, Zarkin's hologram vanished, replaced by the chaotic tactical displays of a battle turning decisively in humanity's favor. Oliver turned to his crew, his eyes blazing with determination. This is our moment. Push forward with everything we've got. Today, we take back our planet. The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as orders were relayed across the fleet. The final push to reclaim Earth had begun, with humanity's unpredictable nature proving to be the key to victory against their supposedly superior creators. As the battle raged around them, Oliver couldn't help but feel a sense of irony. The very traits that the Caxner-Zilphine had feared in humanity, their unpredictability, their ability to embrace chaos and turn it to their advantage, were now the instruments of the aliens' downfall. The confrontation with Zarkin had revealed the fundamental weakness in the aliens' perfect evolution. In striving for flawless prediction and control, they had lost the ability to adapt, to think outside their rigid patterns. As the human fleet pressed their advantage, pushing the alien armada back from Earth, Oliver knew that the true test still lay ahead. They had won a crucial victory, but the war for humanity's future and their place in the cosmic order was far from over. The final battle for Earth loomed on the horizon, promising a confrontation that would determine not just the fate of one planet, but the course of evolution itself. The sky above Earth blazed with the fury of two civilizations locked in mortal combat. The human fleet, bolstered by their recent victories, pressed their advantage against the faltering alien armada. On the bridge of the Ed's Defiant, Oliver surveyed the tactical displays with a mix of hope and trepidation. "We've got them on the run," Zoe reported, her voice tight with excitement. "Their command structure is in disarray after we took out Zarkin's ship." Oliver nodded, but his expression remained grim. "They're retreating towards the moon. Why? They must know we've got them outmaneuvered." As if in answer to his question, a massive energy signature suddenly flared to life on the far side of the moon. The tactical display lit up with warnings as a structure of impossible scale began to emerge. "My God," Gabriel breathed, his fingers flying across his console. "It's some kind of quantum superweapon. If they activate that thing, it could tear the fabric of space-time itself." Oliver's mind raced, assessing their options. They were so close to victory, but this new threat could undo everything they'd fought for. As he opened his mouth to give orders, a transmission cut through their communications. The holographic form of Adam, the human-alien hybrid they'd encountered earlier, materialized on the bridge. "Oliver Fitzgerald," he spoke, his voice echoing with an otherworldly resonance. "The time has come for you to make a choice that will determine the fate of both our species." Oliver tensed, sensing the weight of the moment. "What are you talking about? What choice?" Adam's form shimmered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with holographic representations of both Earth and the alien homeworld. "The weapon you see is not designed for destruction, but for transformation. It has the power to rewrite the very essence of a species on a quantum level." The implications hit Oliver like a physical blow. "You mean?" "Yes," Adam confirmed. "With this device, you could fundamentally alter either humanity or the Caxner-Zilphine. You could strip the aliens of their advanced abilities, rendering them harmless. Or you could elevate humanity to their level of evolution instantly." The bridge fell silent as the magnitude of this choice sank in. Evelyn was the first to speak, her diplomatic instincts kicking in. "If we used it on the aliens, we'd be committing genocide in all but name. But using it on ourselves, we'd be changing the very essence of what makes us human." Oliver's mind whirled with the implications. Either choice would irrevocably alter the course of history, of evolution itself. "There has to be another way," he insisted. "A way to end this conflict without resorting to such extreme measures." Adam's expression remained impassive. "There is no other way, Oliver. The weapon will fire. The choice of its target is yours to make. You have 5 minutes before the process becomes irreversible." As Adam's hologram vanished, the bridge erupted into a frenzy of debate. Some argued for using the weapon on the aliens, ending the threat once and for all. Others advocated for evolving humanity, giving them the power to defend themselves against any future threats. Oliver stood silent, the weight of two civilizations pressing down on him. He thought of Caleb's sacrifice, of the countless lives lost in this war. He thought of the revelation that humanity had been created by these very beings they now fought against. With seconds to spare, Oliver made his decision. "Target the weapon on the following coordinates," he ordered, inputting a series of numbers. Zoe's eyes widened as she realized what he was doing. "Oliver, that's the space between Earth and the alien fleet," Oliver confirmed. "If this weapon truly has the power to rewrite reality, then let it create a new reality where neither side has the upper hand. A clean slate." As the weapon fired, a blinding light engulfed both fleets. Reality itself seemed to warp and twist. When the light faded, both humans and aliens found themselves changed. Not evolved, not devolved, but altered in a way that put them on equal footing. The immediate threat was neutralized, but Oliver's decision had unforeseen consequences. Some of his own crew looked at him with a mix of awe and fear, uncertain of the man who had just rewritten the rules of existence for two entire species. As reports flooded in from Earth and the fleet, detailing the changes that had overcome both humans and aliens, Oliver realized that the true challenge was just beginning. He had averted war, but at what cost? How would both species adapt to this new reality he had thrust upon them? The final battle for Earth had been won, but the struggle for understanding, for reconciliation between two fundamentally altered species, was just beginning. And Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald, the man who had reshaped the cosmos, would have to bear the burden of his impossible choice. As he gazed out at the stars, Oliver couldn't help but wonder, in saving both humanity and their creators, had he fundamentally changed what it meant to be human? The reckoning for his decision was yet to come, and its implications would echo across the cosmos for eons to come. As the aftermath of Oliver's decision rippled across both fleets, Zoe Alexandra Ramirez found herself torn between awe at the cosmic change they'd witnessed and a gnawing certainty that their troubles were far from over. In the chaos following the weapon's activation, she slipped away from the bridge, her mind racing with possibilities. Deep in the bowels of the Defiant, Zoe locked herself in her makeshift lab. Her fingers flew across holographic interfaces as she pored over the data from the quantum weapon's activation. There, hidden in the subatomic fluctuations, she saw something that made her breath catch in her throat. "It's not permanent," she whispered to herself. "The changes, they're unstable." As the implications sank in, Zoe realized they were on borrowed time. The equilibrium Oliver had forced between humans and aliens was temporary. Soon, the balance would shift, potentially plunging them back into war. With renewed urgency, Zoe turned to her own research, the controversial genetic weapon she'd developed based on the aliens' hybrid DNA. She had promised Oliver she wouldn't use it, but now it might be their only hope for a lasting peace. As she worked feverishly to modify her original design, a soft chime alerted her to an incoming transmission. To her shock, the face that appeared on her screen was that of Iridex Voxlara, the alien scientist who had defected to their side. "Dr. Ramirez," Iridex's melodic voice resonated, "I sense you are on the verge of a great discovery, one that could change everything." Zoe hesitated, unsure whether to trust the alien. "How did you know? How are you even contacting me?" Iridex's form shimmered with what Zoe had come to recognize as amusement. "The quantum weapon's effects have expanded my perceptions. I can sense the threads of possibility, and yours burns brighter than most." Despite her reservations, Zoe found herself explaining her theory about the weapon's temporary effects and her plan to use her genetic research to stabilize the changes. "A bold plan," Iridex mused, "but it lacks a crucial component. You're approaching this from a purely human perspective. Allow me to offer an alien one." Over the next few hours, Zoe and Iridex worked in a frenzy of collaborative brilliance. The aliens' insights into quantum genetics meshed perfectly with Zoe's innovative approach to human DNA manipulation. Together, they crafted something entirely new, a genetic stabilizer that could work on both species simultaneously. "This is incredible," Zoe breathed, reviewing their work. "It doesn't just stabilize the changes, it allows for controlled evolution. Both species could grow together, neither outpacing the other." Iridex's form pulsed with excitement. "Indeed, We've created a bridge between our kinds, a path to true coexistence. As they fine-tuned their creation, alarms blared throughout the ship. Gabriel's voice came over the intercom, panic evident in his tone. "Zoe, where are you? The quantum changes are destabilizing. Both fleets are powering up weapons." Zoe exchanged a look with Iridex's hologram. "We're out of time," she said. "But how can we deploy this across both fleets instantly?" Iridex's eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light. "Leave that to me. Prepare your device for quantum entanglement." As Zoe made the final adjustments, Iridex's form began to glow, growing brighter until it was almost painful to look at. "What I'm about to do will likely mean the end of my individual existence," the alien scientist said softly, "but it will ensure the future of both our kinds." Before Zoe could protest, Iridex's form exploded into a dazzling array of light. The energy engulfed Zoe's device, and suddenly she felt a connection to every being in both fleets, human and alien alike. In that moment of quantum entanglement, Zoe activated the genetic stabilizer. A wave of energy pulsed outward, washing over both species. Zoe gasped as she felt the change ripple through her own DNA, a sensation of completion and harmony unlike anything she'd ever experienced. As the energy faded, Zoe rushed to the bridge. She found Oliver and the others staring in wonder at the tactical displays. The alien fleet had stood down, and reports were flooding in from both sides about the strange sense of unity they all felt. "Zoe," Oliver breathed, turning to her with a mix of awe and confusion. "What did you do?" As Zoe explained her collaboration with Iridex and the breakthrough they'd achieved, she could see the weight lifting from Oliver's shoulders. They hadn't just ended the war. They'd paved the way for a new era of human-alien cooperation. "It's not just a ceasefire," Zoe concluded. "We've given both species the ability to evolve together, to learn from each other." Iridex sacrificed himself to make it possible. Oliver nodded solemnly, understanding the magnitude of what had transpired. "Then we owe it to Iridex, to both our species, to make the most of this opportunity." As the reality of their new situation sank in, the bridge buzzed with excited conversation. Plans for joint scientific ventures, cultural exchanges, and cooperative space exploration were already being discussed. Zoe felt a profound sense of accomplishment, tinged with sadness for Iridex's sacrifice. She had set out to end a war and had instead helped birth a new chapter in cosmic history. As the Defiant began preparations to return to Earth, now as part of a joint human-alien peacekeeping force, Zoe couldn't help but wonder what incredible discoveries awaited them in this brave new universe they had created together. The war was over, but the true adventure, the joint evolution of two once rival species, was just beginning. The vast expanse of space above Earth had become a chaotic theater of war, with human and alien ships engaged in a dance of destruction. But amidst the chaos, a new order was emerging. The human fleet, once outmatched and outgunned, now moved with a synchronicity and purpose that caught the alien forces completely off guard. At the heart of this transformation was Gabriel Isaac Hoffman, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces aboard the Ed's Defiant. Months of studying alien technology had led to this moment, the full integration of salvaged Caxner-Zilphine tech with human ingenuity. "Activating Nexus Protocol," Gabriel announced, his voice steady despite the tension. "All ships, prepare for neural link." Across the human fleet, pilots and crew members felt a sudden rush as their minds connected to their ships in ways never before possible. It wasn't just control, it was symbiosis. Human creativity and intuition merged with alien quantum computing, creating a hybrid consciousness that defied conventional warfare tactics. Oliver watched in awe as the tactical display came alive with new possibilities. "Gabriel, this is incredible. How did you manage it?" Gabriel allowed himself a small smile. "It's not just me, Oliver. This is the culmination of every scrap of alien tech we've scavenged, every breakthrough our scientists have made. We're not just using their technology, we're redefining it." As if to demonstrate, a squadron of human fighters executed a maneuver that should have been impossible. They phased in and out of quantum states, appearing in the blind spots of alien cruisers and unleashing devastating attacks before vanishing again. The alien fleet, caught off guard by this unprecedented display of adaptability, began to falter. Their rigid battle formations, once impenetrable, now seemed clumsy and predictable in the face of humanity's fluid, ever-changing strategies. "They can't adapt fast enough," Zoe observed, her eyes gleaming with scientific excitement. "Our hybrid approach is overwhelming their quantum predictive algorithms." Gabriel nodded, his hands never stopping their intricate dance across the controls. "Exactly. They've relied on perfect prediction for so long, they've lost the ability to truly improvise. But we're rewriting the rules of engagement with every passing second." As the battle progressed, the true genius of Gabriel's Nexus protocol became apparent. It wasn't just about enhanced firepower or maneuverability. The neural link allowed for instantaneous sharing of ideas and strategies across the entire fleet. Every creative solution, every successful tactic was immediately disseminated and built upon. An alien dreadnought, easily 10 times the size of the largest human ship, bore down on a group of Earth's defenders. But before it could unleash its main weapon, a series of smaller human vessels swarmed around it. They fired precise bursts of energy, not at the dreadnought itself, but at the space around it. "What are they doing?" Oliver asked, leaning forward intently. Gabriel's eyes lit up with understanding. "They're creating localized pockets of altered space-time. Brilliant. It's disrupting the dreadnought's quantum field integrity." The massive alien ship began to distort, parts of it phasing in and out of reality as its own advanced technology was turned against it. In moments, the dreaded weapon of the Caxner-Zilthine fleet was reduced to a twisted mass of interdimensional debris. As news of this victory spread through the neural network, similar strategies blossomed across the battlefield. Human ships, once dwarfed by alien technology, now danced through the cosmos with unparalleled grace and lethality. "Gabriel," Oliver said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and concern, "what you've created here, it's changing the very nature of warfare, of humanity itself." Gabriel nodded solemnly. "I know. We're evolving, Oliver. Not just technologically, but as a species. This merger of human and alien, it's showing us potential we never knew we had." As the tide of battle turned decisively in humanity's favor, the alien fleet began a hasty retreat. But it wasn't a rout, it was a controlled withdrawal, as if they too were reassessing the new paradigm that had emerged. Zoe approached the two men, her face flushed with excitement. "We did it. We actually did it. But this is just the beginning, isn't it?" Oliver nodded, his gaze fixed on the retreating alien ships. "Yes. We've won the battle, but the real challenge lies ahead. We've unlocked something here that goes beyond victory or defeat. We've opened a door to a new stage of human evolution." As the human fleet regrouped, preparing to secure Earth's orbit, Gabriel couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and trepidation. His Nexus protocol had turned the tide of war, but it had also irrevocably changed the course of human history. The aliens were in retreat, but this wasn't the end. It was a new beginning, one that promised to redefine the relationship between humanity and their erstwhile creators. As Earth celebrated its victory, Gabriel, Oliver, and Zoe knew that the true work was just beginning. They had fought for humanity's right to choose its own destiny. Now, with the power of hybrid technology at their fingertips and the vast potential of human creativity unleashed, that destiny stretched out before them, infinite in its possibilities and challenges. The war might be ending, but the evolution of humanity and its place in the cosmic order was just beginning. The corridors of the alien mothership pulsed with an otherworldly energy as Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald made his way to the central chamber. Behind him, the sounds of battle echoed faintly, the last pockets of resistance being quelled by the joint human-alien peacekeeping force. But Oliver's mind was focused on what lay ahead. As the massive doors to the command center slid open, Oliver steeled himself for a confrontation with Caxner-Zilthine, the supposed supreme commander of the alien invasion. What he saw instead made him stop in his tracks. The chamber was dominated by a swirling vortex of energy, and at its center stood a figure that defied description. It was neither human nor alien, but something beyond. "Welcome, Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald," the being spoke, its voice resonating on multiple levels of reality. "I've been expecting you." Oliver's mind reeled as he tried to process what he was seeing. "Who? What are you?" The being's form shifted, taking on aspects of both human and alien appearance. "I am the architect, the guiding intelligence behind what you perceive as the conflict between your species and the Caxner-Zilthine." As Oliver struggled to comprehend this revelation, the architect continued. "This war, this invasion, it was never about conquest or subjugation. It was a test, a crucible designed to forge something greater than the sum of its parts." Realization dawned on Oliver, each piece of the puzzle falling into place. "You orchestrated all of this? The creation of humanity, the invasion, everything." The architect's form pulsed with what might have been approval. "Indeed. For eons, I have guided the evolution of countless species across the cosmos. But in humanity and the Caxner-Zilthine, I saw the potential for something unprecedented, a union of adaptability and advanced cognition that could transcend the limitations of both." Oliver's mind raced, connecting dots he'd never seen before. The hybrid DNA, the quantum weapon, even Gabriel's Nexus protocol, it was all leading to this moment, wasn't it? "Precisely," the architect confirmed. "Every challenge, every setback, every triumph, all were designed to push both species to their limits and beyond. And you, Oliver, have played a pivotal role in this grand experiment." As the implications sank in, Oliver felt a surge of anger. "You toyed with our lives, our entire existence, for an experiment?" The architect's form shimmered, conveying a sense of both compassion and unyielding purpose. "I understand your anger, but consider the scale of what has been achieved. Together, humans and Caxner-Zilthine have unlocked potential that neither species could have reached alone. You stand on the brink of a cosmic awakening." Before Oliver could respond, the chamber doors burst open. Zoe, Gabriel, and a group of both human and alien soldiers rushed in, weapons at the ready. "Oliver," Zoe called out, her eyes widening as she took in the scene before her. "What's going on? Who is that?" As Oliver quickly explained the architect's revelation, he could see the shock and disbelief on their faces mirroring his own initial reaction. Gabriel was the first to recover, his scientific curiosity overriding his shock. "If what you're saying is true, then everything we thought we knew about our origins, our place in the universe, is merely the beginning," the architect finished. "You have proven yourselves worthy of the next stage of cosmic evolution. The question now is, are you ready to embrace it?" A tense silence fell over the chamber as both humans and aliens grappled with the magnitude of this revelation. Everything they had fought for, everything they had believed about themselves and their enemies, was being called into question. Oliver stepped forward, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. "You say we've proven ourselves worthy, but at what cost? Countless lives have been lost in this experiment of yours. How can we trust that this next stage isn't just another manipulation?" The architect's form pulsed with what seemed like approval. "Your questioning is precisely why you are ready, Oliver. The next stage is not something I can give you, it's something you must choose for yourselves. Together." As if on cue, the swirling vortex behind the architect expanded, revealing glimpses of realities and possibilities beyond imagination. "The choice is yours," the architect declared. "Embrace this new evolution together, or return to your separate paths. But know this, the universe is vaster and more wondrous than either of your species has dared to dream, and it awaits your decision." Oliver turned to face the assembled group of humans and aliens. In their eyes, he saw the same mix of fear, wonder, and determination that he felt. They had fought each other, learned from each other, and now stood together at the threshold of something greater than themselves. "Well," Oliver said, a hint of his old confidence returning, "we didn't come this far to turn back now, did we?" As humans and aliens alike nodded in agreement, Oliver realized that the true journey, one that would redefine not just their species, but their understanding of existence itself, was only just beginning. With a shared sense of purpose, the once enemies turned allies stepped forward together, ready to embrace their cosmic destiny and explore the infinite possibilities that lay before them. The war was over, but the greatest adventure of all was about to begin. The dawn broke over a transformed Earth, its skyline now a harmonious blend of human architecture and alien biotechnology. In the months following the revelation of the architect and the end of the war, humanity had embarked on an unprecedented era of growth and discovery. Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald stood atop the newly constructed Unity Spire, a massive structure that served as both a symbol of human-alien cooperation and a hub for interstellar communication. As he gazed out at the bustling city below, he marveled at how much had changed in such a short time. The integration of alien technology had revolutionized every aspect of human life. Clean energy was now abundant, disease was becoming a thing of the past, and the first joint human Caxner-Zilthine colonies were being established on distant worlds. But it wasn't just technological advancement that marked this new age. The merging of human creativity with alien knowledge had given birth to new forms of art, philosophy, and science that defied traditional categorization. Earth had become a beacon of innovation in the galaxy, drawing curious visitors from civilizations they had never known existed. As Oliver reflected on these changes, he was joined by Zoe and Gabriel, his companions through the crucible of war, and now his partners in shaping humanity's future. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Zoe remarked, her eyes gleaming with the excitement of new discoveries. "I still can't believe how far we've come." Gabriel nodded, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface that hovered before him. "And we're just scratching the surface. The data we're receiving from the Andromeda expedition is mind-blowing. It's rewriting everything we thought we knew about the nature of reality." Oliver smiled, feeling a familiar mix of pride and trepidation. "We've certainly come a long way from fighting for our survival, but with all this progress, I can't help but wonder, what's next? What's our role in this new cosmic order?" As if in answer to his question, a soft chime emanated from the communication hub. A holographic image flickered to life, revealing the familiar form of the architect. "Greetings, Oliver Fitzgerald, Zoe Ramirez, Gabriel Hoffman," the being's voice resonated. "I trust you find your world's transformation satisfactory." Oliver stepped forward, his posture straightening. "It's more than we could have imagined, but I sense you're not here for a social call." The architect's form shimmered with what might have been amusement. "Perceptive as ever, Oliver. Indeed, I come with a proposition and a warning." The three humans exchanged glances, tension building in the air. "Your successful merger with the Caxner-Zilthine has created a new paradigm in cosmic evolution," the architect continued. "But it has also attracted the attention of forces beyond your current comprehension. Forces that may view your rapid advancement as a threat." Zoe's eyes widened. "Are you saying there are other alien civilizations out there that might be hostile to us?" "Not just civilizations," the architect corrected. "Cosmic entities, guardians of universal constants, beings that exist beyond the confines of time and space as you understand them. Your evolution has rippled across the fabric of reality, and not all who have felt it are pleased." Gabriel's fingers flew across his interface, trying to process this new information. "But why come to us? Surely beings of such power wouldn't be concerned with our actions." The architect's form pulsed with an intensity that made the air itself seem to vibrate. "Because, Gabriel Hoffman, you represent something unique, a perfect blend of creativity, adaptability, and advanced cognition. You have the potential to become guardians yourselves, protectors of a new cosmic order." Oliver felt the weight of this revelation settle on his shoulders. They had fought so hard for peace, for the right to determine their own destiny. And now, it seemed, that destiny was calling them to a role grander than they had ever imagined. "What exactly are you proposing?" Oliver asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. "An invitation," the architect replied, "to join me in exploring the deepest mysteries of the universe, to prepare yourselves and your world for the challenges that lie ahead, to become more than you ever dreamed possible." As the implications of this offer sank in, Oliver turned to his friends. In their eyes, he saw the same mix of excitement, fear, and determination that he felt. "Well," he said, a hint of his old swagger returning, "I guess saving the Earth was just the warm-up act. Who's up for saving the universe?" Zoe and Gabriel nodded, grins spreading across their faces. As they turned back to the architect, ready to accept this new challenge, Oliver couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. Once again, they stood on the brink of the unknown, preparing to leap into an adventure beyond imagination. The war for Earth had forged them into heroes. Now, the stage was set for them to become legends on a cosmic scale. As the architect began to outline the first steps of their new journey, Oliver realized that their greatest adventure was only just beginning. Earth, once a battleground, had become a launching pad for humanity's ascension to the stars. And Oliver Samuel Fitzgerald, along with his trusted companions, would lead the way into a future filled with wonders, dangers, and discoveries beyond their wildest dreams. The end of one chapter had come, but the story of humanity's cosmic destiny was just beginning to unfold.